As night begins to gather its final echoes and the last sounds of the day softly fade, the modern mind grows loud once more. Unfinished expectations, words left unspoken, emotions unsure of where they belong, all of them swirl into a weary vortex that makes peace feel impossibly distant. But tonight, you don't have to resist any of it. Let me guide you into a slow, gentle journey, a place where the hidden currents of psychology are told like small streams flowing through the soul, soothing you even as they open you to deeper questions about the nature of who you truly are. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And in the next 3 hours, we will step into that quiet intersection between philosophy and feeling, where natural warmth, inner depth, and effortless presence are not things you try to create, but simply what arise when the mind finally softens. Now, lie down, release your shoulders, and let this night begin like a gentle breath. As you gently close your eyes and allow your breath to slow, soften, and settle, you may begin to notice an ancient question, a very old one, quietly stirring within the human mind from the earliest days of thought all the way to this very night in the moment you are lying here listening. It is the question of the self, of the I you carry each day like an invisible garment. Does it truly exist, or is it only a tender story the brain weaves to keep you from losing yourself in the chaos of life? That question has long been whispered through a beautiful image, the ship of Theseus, a ship that sails for many long years, one weathered plank replaced, then another, old boards removed, new ones fitted in, quietly, slowly, until one day none of its original parts remain. So the ship standing before us, is it still the same ship? When Plato and the philosophers of that age pondered this question, they were not merely speaking about wooden beams, they were speaking about us. Your body is the same. Cells age, disappear, and are replaced. Within just 7 to 10 years, almost your entire physical form becomes a new version of itself. Yet somehow, you still feel like you. What is this I? Where does it rest amid so much change? As you lie still in the dark, you may sense something fragile in that thought. The quiet truth that you are never quite the same person you were yesterday, and you will never repeat yourself in the exact same way tomorrow. As the philosopher Heraclitus wrote, "No man ever steps in the same river twice." You may hear those words and feel a gentle ache, as if you too are a river, always moving, always shifting, yet carrying a faint sense of continuity, an echo stretched across time. It is that continuity that makes us believe there is an unchanging I. But when we look closer, that continuity is only a feeling. Memory, delicate, shifting, easily colored, is the single thread tying your present self to your past. The brain does not replay memories like unfolding a film reel. It rebuilds them according to what you believe, what you hope, or what you fear, which means even your memories of you are not truly intact. And so the question becomes softer, yet more challenging. What is real? Could it be that the I you hold so tightly is merely a reflection stitched together from millions of fragments of experience? Are we meant to grasp the self, or gently accept that the self is like flowing water, taking form for a moment, yet never anchored to a fixed point? As you release your shoulders and listen to your thoughts as though hearing the footsteps of your own mind, you begin to see that the self is not a thing, but a process. A process that expands, shifts, and recreates itself moment by moment. A human life, year after year, resembles that ship. Old planks falling away, new ones sliding into place, and the voyage continuing even when nothing of the original structure remains. Yet the strangest part is this: even as everything changes, there is still the sense of someone watching it all unfold. That spaciousness, that quiet awareness, that stillness, perhaps it is the only thing that does not change. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. It is not merely a reminder, but a soft touch upon the mind. The world changes, the body changes, memory shifts, but the way you perceive these changes is what shapes who you become. When you realize the self is not fixed, you also discover something tender. You're not bound to your own past. You can step into a new version of yourself without needing to resemble who you were before. Change is not frightening. It is the very nature of existence. And with that understanding, you become gentler with yourself. Because no mistake is forever, no pain is fused to your identity, and no version of I is ever final. Each breath brings you into the present moment, where the self is being made again, softly, quietly, without noise. From this place, you may see something even more beautiful. When the self is a river, you can also learn to see others in the same way. No one is fixed. No one is defined forever by a single action. No one has stopped changing. Understanding the self as a process helps us judge less, wound less, and accept others as their own. Theseus ships, repairing, renewing, continuing their journeys in ways we may never fully see. And as you let yourself drift along this current of thought, like floating on calm water, you feel your mind soften, settle, and deepen. Every movement within becomes lighter, quieter, and you begin to sense the true rhythm of your own being. Because discovering who I am is not about finding a permanent answer, but about touching the very movement itself. And then, when your breath has steadied and your mind has grown still like a lake after a passing breeze, we will take one gentle step into another realm of reflection, soft as a footstep in the night, continuing the long, quiet journey of consciousness. And as the question of the self in part 1 continues to echo softly within you, like a faint reverberation drifting through the night, as the image of the ship of Theseus still lingers in your mind, gliding quietly across the sea of time, changing plank by plank, cell by cell, memory by memory, yet somehow retaining a sense of continuity, just like the rhythm of your breath in this moment, you're naturally led into another question, deeper and darker, one that asks not only, who am I, but am I truly choosing my own life? This is where the path gently shifts into free will versus determinism, where the drifting self that moves through the dark begins to wonder, am I really in control, or is everything simply a current set in motion long before I was born? The question of free will is not only a philosophical puzzle, it is an emotional instinct, deeply human. Every small choice you make, waking up, loving someone, forgiving someone, choosing to lie here and listen to these words, feels like something you have chosen, something you are deciding, something you are writing into the story of your own life. But what happens if those choices you believe belong to you were actually initiated in the dark, beneath consciousness, before you even realized you were deciding? Benjamin Libet's experiments in the 1980s revealed that the neural signal initiating an action appears hundreds of milliseconds before a person becomes aware of the intention to act. The brain chooses first, and consciousness only notices afterward. Hearing this may send a slight shiver through you. Gentle, but enough to slow you down because it touches something we are deeply attached to. The belief that I am steering my own life. But if the brain moves before consciousness, then who am I in this process? Am I truly free? Or am I merely standing on the deck of the ship, watching the current and believing I'm the one guiding it? Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "A thought comes when it wishes, not when I wish." And that line is not merely a philosophical statement. It is the mind confessing that much of what rises within us is not summoned by us. Thoughts arrive and vanish. Feelings surface and sink. Decisions emerge from a place deeper, darker, more ancient than reason. As you release your shoulders and lengthen your breath, you begin to feel this truth more clearly. There are things within you that do not belong to your control. The beat of your heart, the sudden swell of emotion, a memory that surfaces without warning, a sadness with no clear source. If in those deeper layers a decision begins forming before you are aware of it, then does free will truly exist? Or are we witnesses to an inner universe moving according to laws we did not choose? But to see the full picture, we must turn to the opposite side, the realm of free will. Because if determinism says that everything is predetermined, free will insists that you have the power to alter, to choose, to step away from the path seemingly carved for you. Jean-Paul Sartre, in Being and Nothingness, wrote, "Man is condemned to be free. Humanity is condemned to freedom. Freedom becomes an unescapable burden because we must own the consequences of what we do." It sounds paradoxical. Why would freedom feel like a sentence? But look a little deeper, and you'll see Sartre pointing toward the loneliness within freedom. For when we are truly free, we can no longer blame fate, destiny, or the universe. We must face the question, did I choose this because I wanted to, or because I was afraid? As you lie here in the gentle dark, you may recognize this burden. Freedom sounds powerful, yet sometimes all we want is for fate to decide for us, for someone to take our hand and say, "Go this way." So how do we reconcile these two seemingly opposing forces? One claiming everything is fixed, the other claiming we are fully free. Modern psychology suggests that both may be true, but on different levels of the mind. In the deeper layers, where the nervous system reacts instinctively, where old wounds and old memories shape reflexes, we operate like a machine. What happened before determines how we respond to what is happening now. Fears, habits, psychological patterns, all are laws forged through time. But in a higher layer, where consciousness observes, reflects, and chooses, there is a small but real space where you can pause, breathe, and choose differently. Viktor Frankl once wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And it is precisely that small space, the space you can touch right now as you inhale slowly, where free will finds its home. We are not entirely free, but we are not entirely determined either. We are born between those two forces, part current, part light, part trajectory shaped by the past, part path we carve with present awareness. Understanding this brings a kind of softness. Free will is not about controlling everything. It is about recognizing what is happening within you, and from that awareness, shifting your direction as gently as shifting a breath. When you understand that many of your reactions come from unconscious layers, you grow less harsh with yourself for what you did not yet know. And when you understand that consciousness still holds the power to change the trajectory, you grow less hopeless about old patterns, old hurts, old choices you once regretted. Between determinism and free will, you do not have to pick a side. You need only learn to stand at their meeting point, where awareness becomes the bridge between instinct and intention. Like water flowing according to the shape of the earth, yet still able to be guided, the mind is the same, patterned yet pliable, shaped yet capable of shifting. And as you listen to this in the night, you may feel a very soft peace rising within you. No choice you've made is entirely wrong, and no choice you face is entirely predetermined. You are the meeting point between everything that has shaped you and everything you are becoming. And from that quiet crossing, you can drift gently into a new realm of contemplation, where time, choice, and the branching paths of the future begin to unfold in ways no one can predict. For when you ask whether you are free, you are also beginning to ask, can the smallest change alter the course of an entire life? And as the echoes of Part 2 continue to dissolve gently within your mind, as the idea of free will and determinism lingers like a thin layer of mist drifting between your thoughts, you begin to feel a subtle shift, delicate, almost imperceptible, like a breeze quietly changing direction. For if a choice can be programmed long before it reaches awareness, or if it can arise unexpectedly and the instant consciousness opens its eyes, then what would happen if we could return to the past and alter just one tiny part of it? Would the future remain the one you are living now, or would it unfold into an entirely different path? This is where the door to the butterfly effect opens, softly, without noise, yet powerful enough to tremble through the universe. The butterfly effect is often illustrated with its iconic image. A butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil may set off a tornado in Texas. The exaggeration isn't meant to claim the butterfly literally creates a storm, but to reveal a deeper truth, that in complex systems like time, like a human life, a small change at the beginning can lead to enormous differences in the end. One different step, one unexpected encounter, one altered sentence, even 1 second of hesitation can bend the entire arc of the future into an entirely new curve. As you lie quietly in the stillness of night, you may recall a small moment in your own life, a chance conversation, a seemingly meaningless decision, a moment when you turned left instead of right, and realize it led you to where you are now. And if that tiny moment had been different, would your life still resemble the one you have today? In his story, A Sound of Thunder, Ray Bradbury once wrote about a group of travelers who journeyed back to the past to hunt dinosaurs. One man panics, steps off the marked path, and crushes a single butterfly. When they return to the present, everything has changed. History, society, even language. Just one butterfly, and the future is no longer itself. When you imagine that image in the dark, it suddenly becomes very real. A single small act can ripple across vast timelines you will never see. But the butterfly effect is not only a tale of science or literature. It is the story of every human being. How many times have you thought, if only I had done things just a little differently? If only I had spoken earlier. If only I had held on a bit tighter. If only I had been braver, softer, kinder. These if-onlys are not meant to torment you. They remind you of the fragility of time. They show that some part of you already knows every action, even the smallest, creates waves. Nietzsche posed a haunting question in The Gay Science. What if a demon were to creep after you one day, saying, "This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more"? The question is not just about eternal recurrence. It quietly asks, if every moment would be repeated endlessly, would you live differently right now? And if a single moment can echo through infinity, then it is never small at all. As you let these thoughts flow like water brushing against the shore, you may begin to see something gentle. The butterfly effect is not here to frighten you into perfection. Instead, it shows you that even the smallest shift can lead to vast oceans. A smile when you are tired. A thank you you hadn't planned to say. A tiny decision toward kindness. Each is a butterfly beating its wings across your inner world, and each carries hope. Likewise, the small mistakes you've made, the moments you wish you had lived differently, are also butterflies that led you to the understanding and tenderness you hold now. No flutter is meaningless. Each rhythm shapes the person you're becoming. The butterfly effect also opens the door to a deeper contemplation of time travel. For when we imagine returning to the past to fix something, we are not really longing to revisit history. We are longing to revisit a former version of ourselves. We hope that the me back then would know enough to choose differently. Yet the truth is, we can only change the past by changing the future. The past is a shadow that has already passed. The future is a shadow moving toward us. And each small decision you make today is a butterfly sending signals into the days ahead. As your breath slows, you may sense that in this very moment, you stand at the crossroads of countless timelines, each one a possible future. A small shift in perception, a softening in how you see yourself, can create a dramatic turn starting tomorrow. This is why in therapy, even tiny changes in awareness can transform an entire life. Carl Jung once wrote in Psychological Types, "The smallest of things with meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. A small movement in the right direction can be more powerful than any grand effort aimed at the wrong one." When you understand the butterfly effect this way, not as the chaos of the world, but as the quiet miracle of change, you realize life is never closed off. And the beauty of time travel is not the fantasy of returning to the past to undo mistakes, but the possibility of creating a future you would be proud to return to if you could look back one day. In the hush of night, as your mind drifts into that soft, misty state between waking and sleep, remember that each breath you choose to hold a little longer, each thought you choose to soften, each emotion you choose to meet with empathy, all are butterflies gently beating their wings, guiding you toward another version of yourself. And when you're ready for the next question, the journey will naturally lead us into another paradox, deeper, more elusive, where not only time but cause and effect themselves begin to reverse, folding into strange and wondrous currents within the universe. And as the images from Part 3 continue to hover softly somewhere in your mind, those tiny butterflies beating their wings in the dark, those timelines curving and bending with every seemingly insignificant motion, those small moments that quietly guided you to the very place where you are now lying. You begin to sense another question flickering into existence, delicate as a spark, yet reaching deeper into the architecture of reality itself. If a single change can create an entirely different future, then could there also be moments when the future reaches back to touch the past? This is where reverse causality appears, opening like a doorway suspended in emptiness, where an effect arrives before its cause, where an event exists without a beginning point, and where time, the thing we believe to be the most solid structure in life, becomes soft and folded like a ribbon curled in on itself. The reverse causality paradox is one of those mysteries that humbles science, philosophy, and psychology all at once. For it doesn't merely ask whether time moves in a single direction. It asks whether everything we believe about cause and effect is as stable as we imagine. In everyday life, we rely on the order of things. Cause must precede effect. You flip a switch, cause, then the light turns on, effect. You plant a seed, cause, then the tree grows, effect. But reverse causality whispers a different possibility. What if the tree appeared before you planted the seed? What if the light turned on before your finger touched the switch? What if a decision you will make tomorrow quietly shapes the emotion you feel today? It sounds impossible. Yet this is precisely the paradox that forces scientists to reconsider the nature of time itself. The physicist John Wheeler once said, "The past exists only insofar as it is recorded in the present." And this idea is not poetic metaphor. It cuts deeper than that. The past only has meaning when the present acknowledges it, which leads to a daring question. If the present can define the past, could the future define the present? Imagine a closed time loop, a concept many physicists refer to as a causal loop. At age 40, you receive a book whose ideas transform your life. Inspired, you spend 10 years writing that same book. Then, at 50, you send it back in time, gifting it to your 40-year-old self. Where did the book originate? From your future self or your past self? It has no beginning. It exists as a loop, a circle where cause and effect blend so intimately that they are indistinguishable. Reverse causality does not only question time, it questions identity. If the future can reach back and shape the past, then could the you of tomorrow be whispering something into your ear right now? Through intuition, through instinct, through the strange pull of impulses you cannot explain. How many times in your life have you had the feeling, "I knew this would happen," or "some part of me has been guiding me here"? These sensations, strange, dreamlike, impossible to articulate, sometimes make us believe there is a flow of information moving backward through time, subtle enough that only the quietest parts of us can feel it. Carl Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences, moments when life arranges itself as if guided by an unseen hand. Jung wrote, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." When we connect with events that seem random, we sometimes feel as though they come from another layer of reality, a place where time is not as linear as we assume. In the stillness of night, reverse causality also reveals something gentle within the human mind. We often blame ourselves for past decisions, believing that if we had been wiser, kinder, braver, our lives would be better now. But this paradox offers a different insight. If time is not strictly linear, then perhaps what is happening within you today is altering the way you see your past, and when your perspective shifts, the past shifts with it. A painful memory that is healed becomes a different version of itself, no longer a wound, but a lesson. In this sense, you are changing your past in the most human and tender way. Reverse causality in psychology does not mean traveling back to 2005 to fix a mistake. It means that by becoming gentler, more aware, more whole right now, you rewrite the meaning of everything that came before. And meaning is the new past. That is why this paradox, which seems cold and mathematical, is actually a doorway into deep healing. We cannot change what happened, but we can change what it means to us. And meaning is where the past truly lives. As you inhale softly and slowly, you may begin to sense that time is not a straight line. It is more like a lake. Every ripple moves not only outward into the future, but also inward, back toward the shore it came from. And when a ripple of understanding, compassion, or release arises in you in this moment, it travels back to touch earlier versions of you, so to the ones who were lost, frightened, or hurting. Reverse causality is the reminder that time is not a prison. It is a flexible structure where transformation can occur in both directions. And as this idea dissolves into the air around you like a thin layer of mist, you may feel a quiet stillness growing inside. You are not chained to the timeline, you are flowing with it, and sometimes you are the one reshaping the current. From this softness, our journey will naturally drift into another psychological landscape, not where time bends, but where people bend toward one another. Another paradox of connection, where we do not merely touch the world touches us back. And as the reflections of reverse causality in Part 4 continue to ripple quietly within you, like waves flowing backward through memory, like time softening into a still lake that mirrors both what is past and what is yet to come, you begin to notice another kind of reflection happening all around you. A reflection not of physics, nor of the universe, but of human beings themselves. If time can respond, then so can the soul. And this is where the mirror effect steps in, gentle and subtle, like an invisible mirror always placed between two people, though we rarely notice it. The mirror effect is a strange psychological phenomenon in which humans feel more comfortable, trusting, and empathetic when the person before them mirrors them, not through words, but through body language, breath, tone, and even the soft, wordless realm of emotion. Once you begin to pay attention, you'll see it everywhere. Two close friends talking, unconsciously tilting their heads in the same direction. A couple in love whose eyes echo each other's expressions as though a single thread were connecting their minds. Or you, suddenly smiling simply because the person across from you smiles, without knowing why. This isn't imitation, it is resonance. A deep, unconscious synchrony shaped by special neurons scientists call mirror neurons. Cells that reflect another's emotions, actions, and sensations inside your own brain. When someone smiles, a part of your brain rehearses that smile. When someone is sad, something in you syncs with them, like a ripple spreading from where they stand. The mirror effect is not mimicry. It is connection. It makes us feel that the other person gets us, is like us, feels safe to us. As you listen to my voice in the dark, your breath may already be slowing in rhythm with the cadence. This too is a form of the mirror effect. Human beings do not learn only through observation. We feel through reflection. Nietzsche once wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "One must learn to love oneself in order to bear being with others." It suggests that only when we understand our own internal rhythm can we recognize the rhythms that resonate with us in others. Yet paradoxically, it is often through unconscious resonance with others that we begin to understand ourselves more deeply. For when someone mirrors us, we glimpse parts of ourselves we had never stopped to notice. The mirror effect touches a profoundly human truth. We are always searching for ourselves in the eyes of another. From the moment we are born, we learn emotions by reading the faces of our caregivers. Joy, safety, fear, all transmitted through reflection. An infant cannot survive without emotional mirroring. Adults are the same. We simply mask our need more artfully. Sometimes you feel inexplicably at ease with a stranger, as though you've known them across lifetimes. Sometimes you feel closed off around someone, even though they have done nothing wrong. That isn't mystical intuition, it is the mirror effect. When someone reflects your subtle rhythms, the slight tilt of your shoulders, the softness of your gaze, the pace of your speech, your brain reads it as a signal. This one is like me. This one understands me. This one is safe. And from that recognition, connection grows. Not through words, but through unconscious alignment. What is beautiful is that you don't need to force the mirror effect. You simply need to be present. When your mind is quiet, when you truly listen, your body naturally mirrors the other, not to manipulate, but to connect. The mirror effect is why deep conversations often feel as though two minds have momentarily merged. When you tilt your head, they tilt theirs. When you breathe deeply, they breathe with you. When you lower your voice, they sink softly into the same rhythm. And suddenly, the conversation is no longer about exchanging information. It becomes an emotional intersection where two inner worlds briefly touch. The poet Rumi once wrote, "What you seek is seeking you." And perhaps nowhere is this more visible than in the mirror effect. The tenderness you hope to find in others, the understanding you long for, the gentleness you crave, all are things they are quietly searching for in you as well. You are their mirror, and they, without knowing, are yours. In the hush of night, the mirror effect carries us into an even deeper healing, the reminder that we have never been entirely alone. Psychologists say that when someone mirrors us accurately, when our feelings are acknowledged, when our inner world is quietly recognized, our nervous system settles, pressure eases, anxiety fades, breath softens. This is why when someone says, "I understand you," and you feel that they truly do, something heavy releases inside you. The mirror effect is a key to healthy relationships. It is what allows us to feel each other's presence, not merely hear each other's words. In this darkness, as you let your mind drift along these lines, you're already mirroring the cadence of the voice guiding you. Your heartbeat slows a little, your face relaxes, your breath deepens. You're entering resonance, not with another person, but with yourself. For the mirror effect is not limited to two people. It also happens within a single person, between the conscious mind and the unconscious, between the part that hurts and the part that heals, between the part that seeks and the part that has already found. And as you begin to touch that inner synchrony, you may feel the world growing softer, lighter, more breathable. From this quiet harmony, our journey will move toward another psychological phenomenon, one that still concerns communication, but not through reflection, through strategy. A subtle shift in the mind that makes people more willing to agree, to open, to step forward believing they chose freely. As the gentle resonance of Part 5 continues to drift through you, that quiet realization that humans connect through subtle movements, shared rhythms, and unspoken reflections. You may feel the journey carrying you naturally into another landscape of psychology, as though from that very synchrony, we step into a phenomenon that also moves silently through our relationships. The foot in the door technique. If the mirror effect reveals how connection forms through resonance, then foot in the door shows how agreement forms through momentum. A strategy so smooth, so understated, that we rarely notice ourselves being carried along by the inertia of our own minds. This technique suggests that once a person agrees to a small request, they become far more likely to agree to a larger one later. Not because the larger request is more convincing, but because they feel compelled to maintain a stable image of themselves. Consistency is something all humans, strong or fragile, seek to protect. When you agree to help someone with a small task, your mind leaves a print. I am the kind of person who helps them. And when a larger request appears, the brain quietly reminds itself of that identity, and to avoid contradiction, you agree again. Like water choosing a direction, it tends to keep flowing that way. In 1966, psychologists Friedman and Fraser demonstrated this in their famous study. They asked homeowners to sign a small petition about traffic safety. Most said yes. But the true revelation came later when those same people were asked to put a large, unattractive billboard on their lawn for the same cause. The acceptance rate skyrocketed among those who had agreed to the small request first. This shows that human behavior is guided not only by reason, but by a deeper internal drive, the desire to remain consistent with who we believe ourselves to be. This is why small steps in relationships so often lead to larger ones. When someone asks you for a tiny favor, then another, the difficulty in saying no does not come from pressure, but from an inner whisper. I've said yes before, I should continue. That's the quiet power of foot in the door. Subtle, persistent, almost invisible. Yet behind this psychological pattern lies an even more profound truth about human nature. We believe we make decisions through logic, but the mind is constantly crafting a coherent narrative of who we are. If yesterday you were kind, you want to be kind today. If yesterday you were soft-hearted, firmness feels almost unnatural today. If yesterday you put someone else's needs above your own, it becomes easy to do the same again, even when it drains you. Aristotle once wrote in Ethica Nicomacheia, "We are what we repeatedly do," a simple sentence containing a vast truth. Identity is built from repeated actions. And foot in the door is the invisible pathway that leads us from one small action to a much larger identity. Sometimes beautifully, sometimes to the point where we lose ourselves. In the gentle darkness of the night, you may recall moments of your own life. A relationship where you stepped far beyond your boundaries without noticing the moment it happened. A job where you kept accepting new responsibilities without compensation. Someone who asked you for one small favor and then another, until you were carrying far more than you ever intended. This was not your fault. It is simply how the mind works when trying to protect its sense of continuity. But there is another side, when foot in the door becomes a doorway into growth. When you start by walking 5 minutes a day, then 10, then 20. When you begin by reading 1 page before bed, then a chapter, then a book. When you start by forgiving a small hurt and your heart opens wider over time. Foot in the door is not just a technique for persuasion, it is a behavioral map showing how small steps create large transformations. Once you understand this, you can use it both to protect yourself and to grow yourself. If someone is using this technique to take advantage of you, you will recognize the pattern earlier. But if you wish to reshape your life towards something better, you can also begin with a single small step, so small it feels effortless, and allow your mind's natural momentum to guide you forward. The technique also reminds us of a human truth. The self is not fixed. It is a river of small choices, small actions, small steps, and from those droplets, people build entire oceans. So as you relax into the night and breathe deeply, you may realize that the power of change is not in grand leaps, but in tiny movements. Movements too small for others to see, yet strong enough to shift the direction of an entire life. Just as in relationships, one small nod can become a larger agreement. One okay, just this once, can become a yes, of course, without hesitation. And those movements always begin from one source, the human desire to remain consistent with oneself. As this thought settles gently within you, the journey begins to guide us toward another psychological technique, one that stands as the counterpart to foot in the door, but moves in the opposite direction. It does not begin with something small, but with something far too large, too impossible, inviting rejection so that a smaller request can step quietly through the door that opens afterward. And as the gentle reflections of Foot in the Door in Part 6 continue to expand quietly within you, when you've just witnessed how a single small step can lead to a much larger journey, how the mind's desire for inner consistency can guide us along a path we didn't even realize we were walking, you may notice another subtle shift waiting just ahead. If foot in the door is the art of small beginnings, then door in the face is the art of refusal. Not beginning with softness, but with something overwhelming, then retreating gracefully, inviting the other person to open the door almost of their own accord. This is a technique that makes psychology feel almost poetic. A dance of contrast, an orchestration of expectations, a gentle push followed by an equally gentle pull, so seamless that people rarely realize they're being guided. Door in the face operates like this. You begin with a request so large, it is almost certain to be rejected. And when that rejection arrives, you step back and offer a smaller request, the one you intended all along. But at that moment, the smaller request feels so reasonable, so moderate, that the other person readily agrees. Why? Because the human mind harbors a beautiful yet easily guided mechanism, the moral balance, the sense of reciprocity. When we refuse a large request, we unconsciously feel that we owe something to the person who asked it. And so, when they withdraw and ask for something smaller, we feel we should respond more favorably, not out of logic, but out of a desire to maintain our inner image of ourselves. This mechanism was demonstrated in a famous 1975 experiment by Cialdini. Researchers asked students to volunteer for weeks helping juvenile delinquents. Unsurprisingly, most declined. But when asked immediately afterward to simply accompany the teens on a 2-hour trip to the zoo, agreement rates soared. Not because the smaller request was more attractive, but because the students wished to repair the initial refusal with a gentle act of compliance. In the quiet of night, as you listen, this may feel strangely familiar. Perhaps you've lived through moments like this. Someone asks something unreasonable, you decline. Yet when they return with something modest, your heart softens. Not because you were tricked, but because your mind loves the equilibrium of kindness. Door in the face reminds us that humans are not irrational, they are simply human. And human beings carry a deep need to feel considerate, fair, not selfish. Immanuel Kant once wrote in Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals, "Act in such a way that you treat humanity always at the same time as an end, and never merely as a means." Yet the irony is this: techniques like door in the face sometimes turn us into a means without us noticing. Still, there is no need to rush to negative interpretations. For like all psychological tools, it can be misused, but it can also open pathways to healing when applied with kindness. You can use it to help someone overcome fear, to gently nudge them toward a first step on their own journey, or even to help yourself open a door you've long kept closed. Door in the face also reveals something deeper about human perception, the power of contrast. When a large request appears, the mind magnifies it, so when the smaller request follows, the mind experiences relief, as though a weight has been lifted. The smaller request becomes pleasant, even reasonable. This is the psychology of contrast. The large makes the small easier to accept. The overwhelming makes the familiar feel safe. The unexpected makes the ordinary feel clear. Look closely, and you'll see. Life often moves the same way. Sometimes, life places an impossibly heavy demand upon you, so heavy that you believe you cannot carry it. And then, slowly, life steps back and offers you something gentler, and you realize you have grown strong enough to handle it. Some of the pain you once endured was that initial impossible request, so that the smaller challenges of the present feel lighter, softer, survivable, as though life itself uses door in the face to shape you, quietly, without ever revealing its intention. This technique describes not only how we persuade others, but how we persuade ourselves. When you have turned down a great burden, a harsh expectation, an unhealthy relationship, an old dream that exhausted you, you become more willing to accept something smaller, but healthier. You accept your present self more readily after rejecting the unrealistic version you once demanded of yourself. You take the next step more gently after walking away from something that once drained your heart. After all, humans are always trying to return to softness. And in that softness, you may find that door in the face is not just a technique of persuasion, but a technique of letting go. As you inhale slowly in the darkness, you may feel a quiet stillness settling. The realization that you do not have to be endlessly strong, that you do not have to say yes to everything that overwhelms you. A gentle refusal is sometimes the first step toward the right kind of acceptance. And when your mind has eased into that understanding, when the voice guiding you begins to dissolve into the night like a thin layer of mist, you will feel the journey leading naturally toward another psychological mechanism. One that relies neither on consistency nor contrast, but on something far more intimate, the beliefs you already hold. Now, we step into a different realm of the mind, where people hear only what they want to hear and see only what they already believe. And as the lingering softness of Part 7 continues to drift within you, like a warm breath fading gently after the door of rejection leading to agreement has quietly closed, you begin to feel the journey carrying you into an even deeper chamber of the mind, a place where no persuasion is needed, because the mind has already persuaded itself long before anything reaches it. If foot in the door is the art of consistency, and door in the face is the art of contrast, then confirmation bias, the bias of belief, is the art of the stories we already carry. It does not come from the outside, it rises from within, and for that reason, it is one of the most delicate, most beautiful, and most difficult traps to escape. Confirmation bias tells us that humans do not seek truth. Humans seek confirmation. Once you believe something, your brain becomes a quiet gatekeeper, opening its doors only to the pieces of information that support your belief, and letting all contradictions fall silently away. An invisible filter switches on, so powerful that you forget you are looking at the world through the lens of your own mind. And in that moment, truth, clear and pristine, becomes a mirror fogged by your breath. You no longer see the world as it is, you see the world as you expect it to be. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "There are no facts, only interpretations. Read in the stillness of night." That line feels both true and unsettling. It reminds us that humans stand forever between reality and their own perspective, and perspective almost always wins. Confirmation. Bias makes you seek out what confirms your views and ignore what challenges them. It makes you gravitate toward people like you and turn away from those unlike you. It convinces you that your love is justified, your anger is righteous, your pain is proof of something real. Yet sometimes, all of it is merely a reflection of a belief you carried long before the moment began. When you believe someone dislikes you, every small gesture becomes evidence for that belief. But if you believe they care, those same gestures take on a different meaning entirely. A distant glance may be indifference or exhaustion. A short reply may be coldness or simply a crowded mind. The world does not change. The meaning you assign to it does. Confirmation bias even makes us loyal to our own pain. When you believe no one understands me, you will notice only the moments when someone forgets you and overlook the countless small ways they were trying to reach you. When you believe I am not worthy of love, every heartbreak becomes proof, while the small acts of love you receive daily are dismissed as accidents, anomalies, exceptions. In this way, we create a closed world to protect the beliefs we already hold, even when those beliefs hurt us. This reveals a strange paradox. Sometimes we will cling more tightly to what wounds us than to what could heal us, because pain is familiar, and the mind prefers consistency over happiness. But in the quiet of night, as you release your body into the softness around you and allow your thoughts to drift, you may begin to sense the depth of this bias. You may recall a moment, perhaps small, almost forgettable, when you misunderstood someone because of a belief you carried. A message left unanswered made you think they no longer cared. A careless word made you feel they looked down on you. A moment of silence convinced you that you were alone. But looking back, perhaps none of it unfolded the way you imagined. And this is what makes confirmation bias a gentle invitation, not to accuse yourself, but to open, to look at your beliefs the way you look at a droplet falling into a still lake, without judgment, without haste, simply watching it ripple outward and dissolve into a wider expanse. To ask yourself softly, is what I believe truly real, or am I only gathering evidence to protect it? When you ask this question with a whisper-like tone, you may feel the mind begin to settle. Not to erase your beliefs, but to give them room to shift. Confirmation bias is not an enemy. It is a part of being human. It gives us coherence, protects our identity, but when left unseen, it can keep us trapped inside our own reflections. Understanding it is the first step toward healing. When you realize you are not always right, you become gentler. When you realize others are not always wrong, you become more compassionate. When you realize truth does not belong to any single person, you become more peaceful. And in that softness, you become a clearer mirror, reflecting the world in a way that is more open, more tender, more whole. From this place of stillness, our journey naturally moves toward another psychological phenomenon. One where it is not belief that distorts your perception, but the very first piece of information you receive. A quiet anchor in the mind that can fix your thoughts in place long before you know they have been caught. And as the gentle afterglow of part 8 lingers within you like a fine layer of mist, while you can still feel the subtle truth of confirmation bias, the way the mind instinctively gathers evidence to protect what it already believes, you may sense the journey opening into yet another depth of human psychology. If confirmation bias is the mirror within, then anchoring bias is the anchor outside, silently fastening your thoughts to the very first piece of information you encounter. And from that moment on, every judgment you make drifts back toward that initial point, pulled by a gravitational force so quiet you rarely notice it. Anchoring bias enters every moment in which a human being must make a decision, pricing an item, estimating someone's age, evaluating a situation, forming an impression. Whatever comes first, whether accurate or accidental, becomes the invisible anchor the mind clings to before drifting anywhere else. Humans do not begin each decision from zero. They begin from the anchor, and the anchor is almost never the truth. Imagine walking into a store and seeing a shirt marked at 2 million jong, then reduced to 900,000. The shirt is not inherently worth 900,000. Rather, the 2 million planted itself as the true value in your mind. Had the store simply listed 900,000 from the beginning, you might have thought it expensive. But with the anchor in place, your entire perception shifts. The anchor does not change reality, it changes your experience of reality. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel laureate in economics, wrote in Thinking Fast and Slow, "People adjust less than they should from the anchor." And this doesn't just apply to prices, it applies to people. If, before meeting someone, you hear they are difficult, then every action, no matter how neutral, leans toward that anchor. A short sentence becomes rudeness. A drifting gaze becomes coldness. A moment of silence becomes hostility. But if you hear they are kind, those same behaviors take on an entirely different meaning. Anchoring bias reveals that we don't judge people merely by their actions. We judge them by the emotional anchors we carry into the moment. Stories we've heard, past memories, stray impressions that have nothing to do with them at all. And in the quiet of night, you may realize that your own mind has been anchored by many small, random things. A careless comment in childhood that became a lifelong insecurity. A minor failure that anchored a fear of trying again. A moment of abandonment that became the anchor for a belief that you are not enough. These anchors, buried deep in the unconscious, become the starting points from which you interpret your entire life. The strangest part is that anchoring bias doesn't even require meaningful information. It can arise from something vague, irrelevant, or purely accidental. In classic experiments, participants spun a random number wheel, then were asked to estimate the percentage of African nations in the UN. The number on the wheel, completely unrelated, still pulled their estimates toward it. A random number became an anchor. This teaches us something profound. An anchor doesn't need logic. It simply needs to arrive first. This leads us into a deeper layer of philosophy. Heraclitus once said, "The beginning is the most important part of the work." Yet in psychology, the beginning, our first reference point, may be accidental, illusory, or mistaken. And still, it shapes everything after it. Nowhere is this more obvious than in human relationships. First impressions are anchors. The moment you meet someone, the unconscious drops a weight. Trustworthy, distant, warm, aloof, safe, or dangerous. And from that moment on, every action is filtered through that first anchor. A single, well-timed word can make you trust a person for years. A single misstep can make you keep your distance long after it has lost its meaning. Anchoring bias ensures that we rarely see people as they truly are. We see them as the anchor chose them to be. But as you lie quietly in the dark, your breath softening, your mind settling, you may recognize that anchors sometimes cost us precious connections. Because instead of meeting someone anew, we meet the version our mind anchored long before we fully knew them. Anchoring bias also lives inside the way you see yourself. The labels you heard growing up, slow, stubborn, not good enough, not deserving, may have become anchors shaping your self-image for years. But just like a real anchor, psychological anchors can be lifted. When you begin to see that these early impressions are not truths, only reflexes, you begin to understand that you can choose a new anchor. You can choose a softer one, a kinder one, a truer one. Anchoring bias is not an enemy. It is a reminder that the mind always needs a starting point. And if you choose that starting point wisely, you can reshape the entire journey. As you inhale deeply in the stillness, you might place a new anchor within yourself, a belief that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you can change, that you are not confined by where you began. And from that new anchor, the evaluations that follow will grow gentler, clearer, more honest. And as you drift softly within these reflections, the journey will naturally move into another psychological realm, one where it is not the first piece of information that anchors us, but the warmth, the familiarity, the safety we create in the very first moments of meeting someone. And as the reflections on anchoring bias from Part 9 continue to drift quietly within you, like a faint shadow sinking along the deeper layers of perception, while you are still aware of how a single first piece of information can anchor an entire judgment, the journey now leads you into another dimension of the mind, softer but just as powerful, the dimension of first impressions. If anchoring bias is the anchor of thought, then the first impression is the anchor of emotion. and it takes shape not over minutes, but in just 7 seconds. In the first 7 seconds of meeting someone, your mind has already decided: trust or don't trust, like or dislike, safe or unsafe. And the most fascinating part is that these judgments do not arise from logic, but from body language. Eyes, the softness of a smile, the warmth radiating through tiny, almost invisible gestures. Humans do not read each other through words. Humans read each other through feeling. And warmth is the key that unlocks the door. Research shows that people do not necessarily prefer the smartest, the most talented, or the most remarkable individuals. People prefer those who make them feel safe, and that safety is activated by signals of warmth. Gentle eyes, a slow and calm voice, open posture, a genuine smile. These signals create a sense of familiarity, as if you've met that person somewhere before, in another life, in another version of yourself. And in that moment, your heart softens without effort. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "What you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. What you are, what emanates from you, speaks far louder than what you speak." A person may say all the right things, but if their eyes are cold, their voice stiff, their energy closed, a quiet distance forms. Meanwhile, someone who says very little but smiles in the small, sincere way that lights up the muscles around the eyes. The Duchenne smile instantly communicates safety, and just like that, you want to open your heart. Warmth is not a technique. It is a state of presence. When you truly look at someone, not to judge or evaluate, but simply to be present, your eyes soften. When you truly listen, not to respond, but to understand, your voice slows. When you genuinely want the person before you to feel comfortable, not for benefit, but out of kindness, your body naturally reflects safety. This is why people with natural magnetism are not the perfect ones. They are the ones who make others feel at ease. In the first 7 seconds, people are not measuring brilliance. They are measuring threat. A relaxed face signals, "I am not here to harm you." An open posture says, "I am not against you." A slow voice says, "I am not in a rush. You can relax with me." And when these signals are offered, the other person's heart responds long before their mind interprets. This is the legacy of thousands of years of human survival. We survived not through intelligence alone, but through our ability to sense safety. In the soft darkness of night, as you listen to these slow, warm rhythms, you may feel it even more clearly. The gentle cadence of a calm voice, even when carried only through words, creates warmth. It whispers, "You don't have to hurry. You are safe here." Instant likability is not born from effort. It is born from allowing another person to breathe. When someone feels they can exhale near you, they trust you. And when they trust you, they naturally like you. Think back to moments in your life. A person you just met who made you feel inexplicably comfortable. Someone quiet who somehow made you want to share more. Someone whose presence alone felt peaceful. You liked them not because they were exceptional, but because they did not feel like a threat. They made you feel seen. They made you feel heard. They made you feel accepted. And that, more than any communication skill, creates instant warmth. In psychology, this is called the warmth first judgment. People assess warmth before competence. If they feel you are cold, no level of intelligence will make them trust you. If they feel you are warm, they will allow you to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to simply be human. This leads to a tender truth. You do not need to be your most impressive self to be loved. You only need to be your safest self. Warm people are not unhurt people. They are people who have been hurt, yet choose to remain open. People who make others feel comfortable are not fearless. They simply do not let fear become a wall. Often, the greatest warmth comes from those who have suffered the most. They know what pain feels like, so they try not to inflict it. They know the sting of abandonment, so they've learned to be present. These souls, because they have cracked, have learned how to touch others gently. And as you soften into this night, you may feel a quiet truth settling into your chest like a warm breeze. You don't need strength to create magnetism. You need sincerity. When you are sincere enough to be present, your body naturally emits what psychology calls warmth signals. Empathetic eyes, grounded breathing, a slight tilt of the head, relaxed hands. These signals act like tiny lanterns, sending a message. You do not need to protect yourself from me. And when that protection dissolves, connection is born. Not dramatic connection, but connection like candlelight. Small, warm, steady, enough to illuminate the hearts of both. When you understand the power of warmth psychology, you realize that the path to becoming magnetic lies not in what you can do, but in how others feel when they stand near you. And as you breathe deeply into this quiet moment, you'll sense that warmth is not a performance, it is the breath of presence. From that breath, this journey will gently carry us toward another psychological phenomenon, one where warmth is no longer a signal of comfort, but becomes the spark of emotional addiction. A world where sometimes yes, sometimes no, creates a pull stronger than stability itself. And as the soft reflections of Part 10 linger within you like the gentle warmth of a candle still glowing after the flame has steadied, after you have wandered through the world of warmth, of kind eyes, of genuine smiles that can make another heart loosen within the first 7 seconds, you now feel the night guiding you into yet another realm of the human mind. A realm where warmth is no longer steady, no longer continuous, no longer gentle like soft light through a window. Here, the signals we receive do not arrive consistently, but flicker, appearing, disappearing, returning without pattern, like a star that blinks in and out against a dark sky. And it is precisely this inconsistency that creates what psychology calls the craving effect, or more accurately, intermittent reinforcement. This is the foundation of every emotional addiction in human life. If someone is always kind to you, always responsive, always present, your heart stays calm, steady. But if their attention arrives once, then disappears, then returns unexpectedly, if a message comes at the very moment you told yourself to stop waiting, if a warm glance appears briefly and then sinks back into silence, something strange begins to happen. You don't become addicted to them. You become addicted to the possibility of them, to the moment they might show up. That unnamed flutter in the chest, that small spark of hope, that space between desire and fulfillment where dopamine thrives. Intermittent reinforcement works exactly like gambling. Gamblers aren't addicted to winning. They're addicted to the chance that they could win. Dopamine is not released most intensely when you get the reward, but when you are waiting for the reward. When you think, maybe this time, maybe soon, maybe if I just hold on a little longer. And that maybe is the most beautiful trap the human mind ever built. Psychiatrist Anna Lemke wrote in Dopamine Nation, "We've created a world that caters to our cravings, and craving itself has become the reward." This is true not only of technology or games, but of affection, attention, the very relationships that make us feel alive and exhausted at the same time. Someone who texts you every day will not make you addicted, but someone who texts when they feel like it, when they need comfort, when they miss you, when they are lonely, This person can make your heart stay longer than your logic wants it to. You know they're inconsistent. You know they're not what you need. You know their presence is as fragile as dust, but the fragility makes you hold on tighter. Because the human brain is designed to chase uncertainty. Those who love us regularly rarely keep us awake at night. Those who love us unpredictably often do. This is dopamine's nature. A little creates more intensity than a lot. Intermittence creates more longing than consistency. And the space between their moments of attention creates more imagination than 1,000 words ever could. Yet beneath this craving lies something deeply human. For humans do not love only stability. We love aliveness. We love being chosen unexpectedly, wanted suddenly, noticed in the exact moment we thought we'd been forgotten. We love feeling like we matter more than all other possibilities, if only for a moment. Intermittent reinforcement also explains why we remember unfinished, unclear, half-formed relationships more vividly than peaceful, complete ones. Absence creates a space, and space is the birthplace of fantasy. One intense moment of attention can make you wait for weeks. One warm gesture surrounded by silence can make you believe in a love that never truly existed. None of this is your fault. It is how the brain works. But in the soft darkness where you now rest, listening to these slow unfolding words, you can begin to view intermittent reinforcement from a gentler angle, not to judge yourself for craving someone, but to understand that your heart was simply seeking the aliveness it was missing. And that is human. The beauty of understanding lies here. When you recognize the pull of inconsistency, you gain the power to choose stability. When you understand that you're addicted to the possibility of being loved, you begin to seek a love that is real, not the heartbeat of dopamine, but the steady rhythm of presence. Intermittent reinforcement also holds a subtle healing side. When you understand that inconsistency is what hurt you, you begin to give yourself the consistency you never received. You learn to become the person who shows up for yourself, not sporadically, but regularly. When someone else's attention no longer controls your emotions, your heart returns to its natural state. Free, like a bird that, after learning the wind is unreliable, chooses the open sky rather than clinging to unpredictable gusts. As you inhale slowly now, you may feel this truth settling into you. Inconsistency sparks longing, but consistency creates peace, and our journey continues to unfold. For right after wandering through the trembling landscape of intermittent reinforcement, we will step into another realm, not the realm of craving created by inconsistency, but the realm of the quiet force created by silence itself. A form of power that does not make us wait, but makes us reflect. A power that is subtle, deep, and still, like the surface of water when the wind has just ceased. And as the remaining vibrations of Part 11 slowly settle within you, as the rhythm of sometimes yes, sometimes no, born from intermittent attention and dopamine's unpredictable waves, fades into a gentler hum beneath your thoughts, you may feel the journey of this night becoming deeper, quieter, more inward. From the restless pulse of craving, we now step into its complete opposite. The realm of silence, not emptiness, not coldness, but a kind of wordless presence that carries enough strength to tremble through the entire inner landscape. This is what psychology calls the silent power paradox, the strange truth that sometimes the most powerful act of all is to do nothing. In daily life, you've seen this more often than you realize. When someone speaks too much, their words lose their weight. But when someone is silent, silent with intention, silent as if they are looking straight through you, that silence becomes a pressure, a mirror, a quiet force that makes you feel compelled to speak, to explain, to justify, even to reveal things you never meant to say. Humans are afraid of silence in conversation because silence reflects back everything inside them. Silence is a mirror so large that most people do not want to look into it. When silence stretches out, the mind desperately looks for ways to fill it. A confident person fills it with calm, an insecure person fills it with over-explanation. Someone lying fills it with unnecessary details. Someone anxious fills it with rushed words. And you, without doing anything at all, see the truth rise to the surface. That is why silence becomes a form of power. In therapy, skilled clinicians sometimes sit in deliberate quiet, not because they lack something to say, but because they know that a long enough silence will gently pull the other person's inner world forward. In interrogations, silence from an investigator is often more effective than accusation, because when the official stops speaking, the suspect begins to speak, haunted by the weight of their own thoughts. Silence creates pressure. Silence reveals. Silence lifts hidden truths into the light, like objects slowly rising through deep water. Blaise Pascal once wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." And this touches a simple truth. Humans are not afraid of noise. They are afraid of the moment they must listen to their own inner voice. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of truth. When you stand before someone who remains quiet, you do not hear them. You hear yourself, your fears, your assumptions, your hopes, your projections. And because of this, you reveal more than you intend. Your insecurities, your desires, your vulnerabilities, even the parts of yourself you tried to hide. Meanwhile, the silent person sees everything without saying a word. Silence also serves another subtle purpose. It makes others perceive your worth. When you do not react immediately, you show that your emotions are self-governed. When you do not rush to explain, you show that you are not threatened by judgment. When you do not argue to prove yourself right, you show that your sense of dignity is not built on defeating someone. A well-timed silence is the mark of a soul that has endured storms and still knows how to remain calm. And human beings are naturally drawn to that calm. Silence also reveals the nature of your relationships. If someone respects you, they will honor your silence and give you space. If someone seeks to control you, they will panic in your silence because your quiet removes their access to your reactions. If someone loves you sincerely, they will feel safe beside you without needing noise. But if someone loves through possession, they will feel threatened when you no longer respond. Silence is the light that reveals the shape of every bond, and within yourself, silence becomes the test of maturity. When you can sit in quiet without feeling lonely, you have begun to befriend yourself. When you can refrain from reacting to every disturbance, you have found your center within the storm. When you can sense the subtle movements inside you, sensations you once ignored, you have stepped into deeper awareness. In the stillness of night, when your breath has softened like silk and your mind has slowed to a quiet drift, you may begin to see that silence is not lack. Silence is space, the place where broken pieces rest, the ground on which you finally see yourself clearly without the noise of the world. And after passing through this softness, you will discover another paradox of the human mind, one gentler, more tender, that sometimes, to make someone care for you, you do not need to make them love you. You only need to let them help you a little, for the mind naturally grows attached to what it invests in. A psychological effect delicate as the last glimmer of light before the night folds entirely into stillness. And as the quiet echoes of Part 12 continue to drift softly through your mind like the final layer of mist settling over a night lake, while you can still feel the gentle strength of silence, that wordless power that makes others open themselves, reveal themselves, and see themselves, you may sense our journey turning toward another stream of human psychology. A warmer stream, one that carries the softness of human connection, where closeness does not arise from what we give, but from what we allow ourselves to receive. A paradox so subtle that, without looking deeply, it seems illogical, but once understood, it becomes the truest reflection of how the human mind works. The Benjamin Franklin effect. If the silent power paradox shows how people reveal their true selves in silence, then the Benjamin Franklin effect shows how people create their own emotions based on the actions they have taken. This effect says, when someone does you a small favor, they begin to like you more, not because the favor proves you are worthy of affection, but because their brain must explain why they did it. And to avoid internal contradiction, the mind arrives at the gentlest conclusion. I have done something kind for them, therefore I must like them. Benjamin Franklin discovered this in the 18th century. He recounts in his autobiography that when he wanted to reconcile with a powerful political rival, he did not offer gifts or humble gestures. Instead, he asked the man for a small favor, borrowing a rare book. The rival agreed, and when Franklin returned the book with a simple thank you, the man began treating him with unexpected warmth. Franklin wrote, "He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another." Strange, isn't it? We often think that to make someone like us, we must be good to them. But psychology says the opposite. To make someone like you, allow them to be good to you first. Why? Because the human mind despises contradiction, what psychology calls cognitive dissonance. When I help someone, my brain asks, why did I help them? And to avoid the uncomfortable answers, because I was pressured, because I was weak, the brain chooses the answer that preserves inner harmony. Because I like them, emotion does not precede action. Emotion follows action. The human heart flows like water, filling the spaces thought leaves behind. But the Benjamin Franklin effect is not limited to new connections. It reaches into the deepest corners of life, family, romance, work, even relationships we never placed much hope in. You may notice, people do not love you more when you give them everything. They love you more when they have given something to you. The more you allow them to invest, time, attention, advice, small acts of care, the more their mind concludes that you matter. This is not manipulation. It is simply the truth of human bonding. We love what we invest in. We stay attached to the plant we watered. We care for the people we worried about. We trust those we once helped. Because when we invest in something, our brain decides it must hold value. In the quiet of night, when you think of the people you once loved, you may feel how painfully true this is. There are people who gave you little, yet you loved them fiercely because you had given them so much. The Benjamin Franklin effect explains why we imagine that feelings drive actions, when often it is our actions that create our feelings. In healthy relationships, this effect becomes a tender glue. When someone is asked for help, they feel meaningful, they feel they matter, they feel they hold a place in your world, and that sense of meaning draws them closer. But in toxic relationships, this effect becomes the chain that keeps people stuck. Someone who has sacrificed too much for another tends to love them more, not because the other person deserves it, but because the mind is trying to protect its identity. I chose them. I helped them. I gave so much, this must mean something. And so they stay, not out of love, but out of the fear of admitting their investment was misplaced. In therapy, this is one of the most painful yet necessary realizations. Søren Kierkegaard once wrote in Either or, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." Only in hindsight do we understand why a relationship held us for so long. Only by moving forward do we gain the chance to choose actions that create healthier emotions. And in the soft darkness surrounding you now, you may find yourself asking, whom do I truly love, and whom do I love simply because I've given too much of myself? This question is not meant to shame you, but to help you distinguish between love and investment. Seen through the lens of healing, the Benjamin Franklin effect teaches us this. Sometimes, to make someone open their heart, you do not need to prove your worth. You need only let them give you a little of theirs, time, advice, attention. When they give, they begin to feel you matter. But the reverse is also true. When you need to step away from a harmful connection, stop giving and stop allowing them to give. When no action creates emotion, the mind loses its reason to remain attached. The loops of clinging dissolve slowly in silence. And as you understand this, you may begin to view your relationships with gentler eyes, not judging, not blaming, simply recognizing that the human mind often creates long detours to protect what it believes. This gentleness opens the heart, deepens the breath, and slows the night into that space between waking and sleep. And from this softness, our journey drifts toward yet another layer of psychology. One where not only actions shape emotion, but where even our perception of reality is revealed to be an illusion constructed inside the brain. A world where we do not see truth, but only the interpretation of truth our mind allows. And as the gentle reflections of Part 13 continue drifting slowly within you like the last warm shimmer resting on the surface of your inner lake, while you can still feel that deeply human, strangely tender truth that sometimes we love someone not because of what they have given us, but because of what we have given of ourselves to them, the journey of the night shifts softly, guiding you toward a wider, deeper, and far more delicate realm. It is the realm of perception, where you no longer explore other people but begin to confront the very world appearing before your eyes. And in the moment you release your body and allow your breath to fall to its lightest rhythm, you begin to sense something that feels distant yet touches the very roots of existence. You never see the world as it truly is. Your brain rebuilds reality before you ever become aware of it. Every image you see, every sound you hear, every sensation you touch, these are fragments of raw data stitched together by the brain into a coherent picture. And that picture, literally, is always delayed from reality by about 80 milliseconds. Which means you never live in the actual present. You live in the present reconstructed by your brain. A simulated present, a predicted present. Science calls this predictive processing, the mechanism by which the brain predicts 90% of the world and uses only 10% of sensory input to correct those predictions. This means that most of what you think you see comes not from outside you, but from inside you. Immanuel Kant once wrote in Critique of Pure Reason, "We see things not as they are, but as we are." And when you inhale deeply and feel your breath spreading softly through your chest like a warm current, you can sense how profoundly this truth touches you. The world you see, its colors, its lights, its sounds, is not the world's essence. It is the version built by your memories, your wounds, your hopes, your unspoken fears. And when you understand this, conflicts in your life begin to feel lighter, because you realize others are not intentionally misunderstanding you. They're simply living inside a different reality created by their mind. So are you. Arguments between you and someone you love are often not arguments about truth, but about two illusions, two perceptual architectures, each side believing theirs is correct. And because each believes their picture of the world is real, they hurt, defend, and react. But if you descend one layer deeper into the nature of reality, the layer neuroscience is quietly revealing, you see that reality is not a rigid wall imprisoning you. It is like water. It shifts with your perspective. It shifts with your predictions. It shifts with your experiences and your wounds. And if reality shifts, then your experience of it can shift too. Neuroscientist Anil Seth once said a line that made the scientific world pause. Perception is a controlled hallucination. Not a pathological hallucination, but the hallucination of being alive. The brain continuously simulates the world so that you can function within it. And every time you sense the world, you are sensing a version of the world your brain has created. In the quiet darkness of this night, as you lie still listening to this slow rhythm, take a moment to notice. You are not seeing the room as it is. You are seeing the version your brain allows you to see. Every detail is being filled in based on past experience, edges, light, distance. Even what you call me, the self you think you know so well, is only a story the brain constructs to keep you from dissolving into the chaos of feelings and memories. When we understand perception this way, we stop being so harsh with ourselves. We stop forcing ourselves to see correctly, remember correctly, interpret correctly. Because you are operating within a system where 90% is prediction and only 10% is raw data. You are not wrong, you are simply human. And that is gentle enough. The beautiful part is this. Once you realize perception is an illusion, you can begin to alter the illusion. You can learn to see others with a softer gaze. You can learn to see yourself not through judgment, but through compassion. You can learn to reframe old memories so they no longer wound you. You can learn to predict the world in a calmer way and therefore truly live more calmly. Because the illusion we choose to believe has the power to define our entire experience of being alive. And as you drift deeper into the stillness of this night, you may feel the edges of your world grow softer, not to make you lost, but to show you that you are not trapped in a rigid truth. You are allowed to recreate the world from within. And this softness carries you toward an even deeper terrain of the mind, where even memory, the thing we assume is the most solid, reveals itself to be merely an illusion the brain reconstructs each time we recall it. A realm where the past does not exist as we imagine, but as a story rewritten each time we touch it. And as the reflections of the architecture of illusion in Part 14 continue drifting around your mind like a faint layer of mist, while you are still sensing that even the reality you see each day is merely a version constructed by your brain, a delicate simulation rather than the raw truth itself, the journey of the night leads you to an even deeper, softer realization, one that makes the heart sink and open at the same time. If the present is a constructed illusion, then the past does not truly exist in the way we believe either. We have always imagined memory as the most durable, the most unchanging, the most faithful record of what has happened. But neuroscience tells a different story. Remembering is not replaying memory. Remembering is reconstructing memory. Each time you recall, you rewrite it, just a little. Then a little more, and more still. Memory changes over time, not because you are weak or forgetful, but because your brain was never designed to store the past. It was designed to recreate the past according to the emotions of the present, which means you never touch the original memory. You only touch the latest version among countless versions your mind has revised. Memory is not an archive. Memory is a studio. The renowned neuroscientist Elizabeth Loftus once said, "Memory works like a Wikipedia page. You can change it, and so can other people. What you remember about childhood, about an old love, about those days that once hurt so deeply you could barely breathe, has already been rewritten. Not because you wish to change it, but because every time the memory is retrieved, the brain opens it, softens some parts, sharpens others, and stores it again like a journal entry with new ink. And in this gentle darkness, as your breath settles into your lower belly, you may begin to see how true this is. Have you ever looked back on something in your life only to discover that a detail you believed was real? The expression on someone's face, the words they said, the emotion you felt was not accurate at all. Have you ever argued with a loved one about an old event and realized both of you were utterly convinced you were right, yet your memories contradicted each other? No one was wrong. Each of you was remembering a version reconstructed by your emotions, hopes, fears, and private experiences. Memory is not truth. Memory is the story of truth retold by the mind, and the mind always has a reason to rewrite. If a memory is too painful, the mind blurs it, softens its edges, erases certain angles. If a memory is too beautiful but has been lost, the mind tinges it with longing. If a memory clashes with the self-image you hold today, the mind edits it to protect your identity. If a memory does not fit the story you want to believe now, the mind adjusts the story, even in tiny strokes, enough to change the emotional tone. Thus, each of us is living inside a private history, not the shared history of the world, but the subjective history of the mind. Nietzsche once wrote on the genealogy of morals, "The past is always being reinvented." And as your breath slows, that sentence feels almost heartbreakingly true. We do not only reconstruct the past, we reconstruct ourselves. Research on memory has discovered something subtle. When you recall a memory in sadness, the memory becomes sadder. When you recall it in gentleness, it becomes gentler, which means your present emotion is repainting the colors of your past. And this opens the door to one of the greatest forms of healing in human life. If memory can be rewritten, then pain can be rewritten too. Not by denying it, but by revisiting it with a heart that has become deeper, wiser, softer. When you touch an old memory with compassion, it shifts. It remains the same event, but no longer crushes you. The past cannot be changed, but the meaning of the past can. That is the power of reconstruction, and the brain, fragile as it is, carries within it this exquisite capacity for healing. In psychotherapy, no one tries to alter what happened. They help you change the story you tell about what happened. When the story changes, the memory changes. When the memory changes, the emotion changes. When the emotion changes, the person changes. And you, right at this moment, are already doing that. Each time you revisit something old with greater softness, your shoulders drop a little, your heart opens a little, and the memory, like a bleeding ink stain, dissolves into something gentler. In this quiet night, as you let yourself sink into the slow whisper of these words, remember, you are not a prisoner of what has been. You are the one who rewrites it. You can rewrite the memories that hurt you. You can rewrite the stories that frighten you. You can rewrite the earlier versions of yourself, not to deny them, but to hold them with the tenderness they never received. And from that tenderness, your mind naturally begins to open into yet another layer of inquiry, where not only memory, but consciousness itself begins to ask, how can the physical activity of the brain give rise to subjective experience? How can inner life emerge from electrical signals in folded tissue? That question will carry you into a deeper, wider, more mysterious realm, the realm of the explanatory gap, the vast silence science has never been able to bridge. And as the thoughts of Part 15 continue drifting like the last ripples across the lake of your mind, while you are still sensing that tender revelation that the past is not fixed, that every memory you touch is rewritten by the emotions of the present, the night gently leads you toward a deeper question. A question not only about memory, but about the one who remembers. If memory is reconstructed, then who is the one reconstructing it? If the past is a story rearranged by the mind, then what stands behind that rearranging? From where do these inner images arise, drifting like a quiet river through the unseen? And stranger still, why do electrochemical signals in the brain, neurons firing, synapses touching, become subjective experience? Why does consciousness arise from matter at all? This is what philosophy and neuroscience call the explanatory gap, the gap no one has been able to bridge. Imagine this. A scientist can describe every electrical impulse in your brain when you see the color red. They can measure the frequency, location, and intensity. They can pinpoint exactly which region lights up. But they cannot explain why your brain experiences redness. They cannot explain why physical activity becomes feeling, why it becomes red, sad, homesick, in love, hurt, peaceful. On the physiological level, consciousness is electrical activity. On the experiential level, consciousness is an entire universe. And the distance between these two is the gap no one can cross. Philosopher David Chalmers called this the hard problem of consciousness. In a famous lecture, he asked, "How does the water of the physical brain turn into the wine of consciousness?" As you close your eyes and feel your breath settling into something deeper, softer, you may feel that question touching you directly. What inside me is observing all of this? If memory is information, why do I feel it as sorrow? If neurons are cells, why do they hold love? If the brain is matter, why do I have an inner life? These questions are not here to confuse you. They are here to remind you that you are a miracle in the literal scientific sense. No one understands how you exist. Scientists can measure neural activity, but no one can explain why there is a living experiencer inside it. And in the quiet darkness of this night, that truth becomes both beautiful and humbling. You're not just a body, not just a brain, not just memory. You're the one who knows you're alive. When you recall something painful, neurons fire, but the warm ache in your chest, the tightening in your throat, these cannot be described by physics. Science sees the mechanism. Only you see the meaning. When you watch the sunset, your eyes send signals to your brain. But the sense of calm spilling through your heart, that is something else. You see the world through light, but you live the world through experience. The explanatory gap exists precisely because no one can explain, through physical description alone, what is happening inside you right now. The quiet movement of awareness, the slow spreading of calm, the gentle blur between waking and sleep. No one knows why you can feel. Philosopher Thomas Nagel, in his famous essay, "What is it like to be a bat?" argued that if we cannot know the subjective experience of a bat, then we do not truly know what consciousness is. Consciousness cannot be weighed, measured, or graphed, because it is not matter, it is experience. Nagel wrote, "Consciousness is what makes the mind-body problem really intractable. And as you listen to these words with a breath that has already slowed, you can feel the truth of that inside you. You are not just hearing, you are experiencing the hearing. In the moment you listen to the voice in your mind, you are both the one who hears and the one who observes the hearing. Who is that second one? Who is the one who knows that you know? That is the deepest mystery of existence. Perhaps this unexplainable gap is where meaning begins. For if consciousness were nothing more than a byproduct of matter, then your presence would hold no real wonder. But if even science cannot grasp what is alive within you, what feels, thinks, remembers, suffers, loves, then you are something far beyond the language of physics. In the softness of this night, you can feel that clearly. There's a part of you that cannot be analyzed or reduced or measured. A part that is soft, luminous, and deep. The part that makes you, you. The journey into the question, what is consciousness, is not meant to produce an answer. Humanity may need centuries more to understand it. The journey exists to remind you that simply having consciousness is already a gift. And as you place your hand over your chest and feel the warmth of your living body, you may realize you do not need to understand consciousness in order to live fully inside it. And from this quiet mystery, the night's current begins to flow toward another paradox, one closer to your breath. If consciousness cannot be explained by physical activity, then is your identity truly something fixed? Or is it, too, a river endlessly flowing? And as the reflections of the explanatory gap in Part 16 continue resonating like a soft inner hum across the quiet landscape of your mind, while you have just passed through the deepest and most mysterious question of humanity, the question of why the physical activity of the brain gives rise to subjective experience, the night's journey now carries you toward another inquiry, gentler yet no less trembling. If we cannot explain consciousness, then is our identity, the thing we call I, truly something fixed? That question opens another doorway in philosophy, where the self is no longer a solid, unmoving shape, but a continuous flow, like a river that never holds the same drop of water and yet is given a single name. This is the identity paradox, the paradox of selfhood asking, are you still the person you were yesterday, or are you only carrying a story about them? Throughout life, we often believe in a permanent self, a central I standing behind every memory, every choice, every experience. But when you look deeply into yourself, you see that this I never stands still. Every thought you have right now, every emotion passing through you, every cell in your body, everything is changing, dying, being born. Biology tells us that most of the cells in the human body renew within a few years, which means the physical you of today is not the physical you of 5 years ago. And yet the most beautiful part is, you still feel like you are you. How can that be? Philosophy has wrestled with this since ancient times. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher who believed all things are in constant flux, wrote, "No man ever steps in the same river twice. The river has changed and so has the person, and yet we still call it a river, and we still call ourselves a self." Identity, in its deepest sense, is not a thing. It is a process, a rhythm, a movement, a story rewritten each day. When you remember your childhood, you are remembering a child who no longer exists. When you think of an old mistake, you are thinking of a version of yourself your present mind has already outgrown. And as you listen to these words in the warm darkness of night, you are living a moment that belongs only to the present you, a version of you that will already be different by morning. This is not frightening. It is beautiful. It is freeing. Because if you are not the person of yesterday, then you are not bound to their mistakes, their fears, or the wounds that once hurt you. The one who made that mistake is no longer you. The one who suffered that pain is no longer you. The one who loved the wrong person, chose the wrong path, hurt someone or was hurt, those versions have flowed away like water in a river. Only the story remains. And the story, like memory, can be rewritten with a gentler heart. In therapy, practitioners often say, the self is a narrative. This does not mean you are not real. It means you are the storyteller of your own life, and the storyteller can change how the story is told at any moment. Have you ever looked back at something you once believed with complete certainty when you were younger and now see it no longer fits? Have you looked back at an old fear and found it has shrunk compared to the strength you have now? Have you revisited a turning point in your life and whispered, I'm not that person anymore? That is identity. A river. Marcel Proust once wrote in search of lost time. Remembrance of things past is not the remembrance of things as they were. We do not remember what happened. We remember who we have become after it happened. Identity is not something we preserve. It is something we move through, and in the soft calm of this night, as your breath flows naturally like a quiet stream, you may feel that you are no longer trying to hold on to anything. Everything is moving, everything is changing. And within that change, you are still you, but a you living in motion. If someone once hurt you, and you wonder why you cannot go back to how things were, remember that before no longer exists. That river has flowed on. If you feel yourself growing, drifting away from familiar things, know that this is the natural movement of identity. It does not stay still. And you do not need to hold on, because the person you are becoming is always wider, deeper, more capable than the person you leave behind. The identity paradox does not arrive to confuse you, but to remind you that you are allowed to change. You are allowed to release old stories. You are allowed to rewrite yourself. No one has a permanent self. Each person is a singular river, unrepeatable, ungraspable, impossible to freeze in place, yet always observable through the openness of the heart. And when you open yourself wide enough to feel that flow, you will see another truth. What we fear also changes. What we think is a cause may later reveal itself as an effect. What we imagine as a beginning may turn out to be an ending. What we believe comes last may be what started everything. And from the river of identity, the night's journey now gently guides you toward another paradox, one that suggests consequences may arrive before causes, and time may not flow in the direction we assume. And as the reflections of part 17 continue flowing softly through you like a gentle tide, as you still feel that tender truth that the self is not a stone but a river, always moving, the night opens another door for you. A door leading to a question even deeper. If identity is a flow, if memory is reconstruction, if reality itself is a simulation of perception, then what does an experience truly mean? This question leads you to one of the most famous and unsettling thought experiments in philosophy, Robert Nozick's experience machine. A machine capable of giving you any life you desire, a perfect life filled with happiness, without pain, without failure, without loss. Inside it, you could become anyone. A musical genius, an explorer, someone deeply loved, someone who succeeds at everything they touch. You would not know it is a simulation. You would believe it is real. So, if you had the choice, would you step into that machine? That is the question Nozick asks in Anarchy, State, and Utopia. And as you listen to that question, in this quiet night, let your mind touch it gently. Would you choose a perfect life if you knew it wasn't real? Most people, even those who suffer, hesitate. Many refuse. Some are frightened by the very idea. Why? Because human beings do not seek happiness alone. They also seek authenticity. We do not want merely to experience life. We want it to be real. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. If effort disappears, if choice disappears, if struggle disappears, then who is I? The machine can give you pleasure, but it cannot give you meaning. It cannot give you the sense that you, through growth, through pain, through difficult decisions, shaped your own life. A perfect life not built by your own becoming is nothing more than a beautiful dream you do not truly belong to. To feel this more deeply, you may recall a moment of genuine happiness in your life. Perhaps it was achieving something you longed for. Perhaps it was being held by someone on a weary day. Perhaps it was standing before the ocean and feeling a gentle, humbling smallness. That moment was beautiful not only for what it was, but for everything you had endured to reach it. If a machine delivered that moment to you without the journey, would it still hold meaning? This is what Nozick wanted us to see. The value of life is not in pleasure, but in authenticity. David Foster Wallace once said in a famous speech, "The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you. Truth hurts before it heals." The machine has no pain, but because it has no pain, it has no truth. And because it has no truth, it cannot offer liberation. The experience machine asks something deeper than, "Do you want to be happy?" It asks, "Do you want to be real?" In the softness of the night, you may ask yourself, if I knew I were living inside a simulation, even a beautiful one, would it still feel whole? This reveals a deeper truth about human psychology. We do not seek pleasure alone. We seek connection, real emotions, real effort, real hope, real disappointment. A genuine embrace from a real person, even imperfect, means more than endless perfect embraces inside any simulation. A moment in which you face your true fear, even a small one, carries more weight than 1,000 artificial victories. Because within what is real, there is I. Within what is false, there is only experience. And the human heart, strangely, beautifully, always loves the real more than the perfect. This is why we cherish those who left us, the hurts we survived, the failures that shaped us, the days we collapsed and rose again. If life were only a collection of pleasant moments, we would never change. Only in difficulty does identity sharpen. Only in challenge do we meet ourselves. These are things the machine can never offer. A perfect life is a life without growth. A life without darkness is a life without dawn. As you exhale slowly, you may feel this truth in your own body. The beauty of life does not lie in its perfection, but in its reality. And perhaps that is why Nozick's question strikes so deeply. What matters is not just how life feels from the inside, but that it is our life. We do not only want to live well, we want to live true. True to the self, true to the journey, true to what we believe gives life meaning. And in this tender wakefulness of the night, you may sense that the question is not meant to be answered, but to help you look at the life you already have, the wrinkles, the tears, the trembling moments, the seemingly insignificant instants that make you feel alive. And from this question of authenticity, the night gently guides you toward another dimension of human psychology, one shaped not by pain or illusion, but by something far simpler and far more powerful, the act of naming. And as the afterglow of Part 18 continues drifting through you like a thin veil of mist, as the profound question of the real life versus the simulated life still lingers in your chest, as you gently step out of Nozick's experience machine with the quiet realization that truth is what makes us feel alive, the journey of the night subtly shifts toward another psychological landscape, lighter yet astonishingly delicate. If the previous part asked us about the nature of reality, this part brings us back to something small yet powerful enough to move the human heart, a name. Because sometimes all it takes is someone calling your name, your real name, for your heart to soften and for you to feel that you belong. In psychology, a name is not merely a sound, it is identity, it is existence. It is a flicker of light in the vast current of life, reminding you, I am seen. I am not dissolving into the crowd. When someone speaks your name, especially with genuine attention, your brain instantly releases dopamine, the reward chemical. You feel noticed, acknowledged, alive in someone else's perception. And in that moment, even a small loneliness melts away. It isn't hard to understand why. Since childhood, a name has been the first signal that we belong to this world. When a mother calls her child by name, it is an invitation of love. When someone calls your name in a crowd, it is an affirmation of presence. When a lover whispers your name, it becomes intimacy. What many do not know is that neuroscience confirms this with striking clarity. When you hear your own name, the regions related to self-awareness, memory, and emotion light up. Your name touches the deepest part of you. No other sound does this. This is why, in human connection, calling someone by name even once can open a doorway. When you look at someone and gently call them by name, you send a message without saying it. I see you. I truly see you. And that alone dissolves most of the walls people build around themselves. Dale Carnegie wrote in How to Win Friends and Influence People. A person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language. Not because the sound is beautiful, but because it carries the weight of an entire life. To call a name is to touch a whole universe. In this quiet night, as your breath slows and the stillness begins softening your entire being, try to remember a moment when someone spoke your name with sincerity. How did it feel? Did your heart become gentler? Did you feel closer to them for just a second? That is the power of a name, And when you understand this, you start to see the subtle architecture of relationships. A skilled salesperson remembers the customer's name. A beloved leader says, "Thank you, Min," instead of just "thank you." Someone who truly loves you calls your name in their most honest moments. And someone who is avoiding you rarely speaks it. A name is intimacy. A name is a bridge between souls. A name is a sign that we matter. But the most fascinating part is this. The influence does not come from calling someone's name repeatedly, but from calling it at the right moment. A name spoken at the perfect time. When someone is sad, uncertain, tired, or sharing something important, allows your words to enter directly into their heart. When you say, "I understand, Lan." When you whisper, "You did well, Hui." When you look into someone's eyes and say softly, "I'm here, Trang," that is when their heart opens. And it opens not because of the sentence, but because of the name. Because the name makes them feel seen. A rare feeling in this world. In therapeutic settings, therapists often use a client's name before asking a meaningful question, not to manipulate, but to help the person reconnect with themselves. When you are overwhelmed, a simple "Ho, what are you truly afraid of?" can pull you back into your own center. A name is like an invisible arm guiding you home to yourself. But names also carry the power to heal. In damaged relationships, when people stop calling each other by name, something silently breaks. Many couples say their happiest moments were when they called each other by name, and their most distant moments were when they only used empty pronouns. Names are where affection lives. Names are where memories cling. Names are where the heart finds its way back. And in this quiet space, as your mind drifts toward the border between waking and sleep, you may begin to understand that the power of names is not a technique. It is the art of presence. When you speak someone's name, you place them at the center of the moment. You say, "In this vast world, I choose to see you," and that is what every heart longs for. If the experience machine asked what makes life truly valuable, the influence of a name answers, because we are seen by those we care about. Not perfect happiness, not a flawless life, but the feeling of being named, being acknowledged by another human being. And in this slow rhythm, the night carries you gently toward the next layer of psychology, where presence is not only conveyed through names, but through the warmth of our energy, our eyes, our smile, and the subtle atmosphere we bring with us into any room. A world where warmth becomes the deepest signal of connection. And as the gentle resonance of Part 19 continues drifting within you like a soft, lingering echo, as you still feel the deeply human warmth of being called by your true name, of being seen, of being acknowledged as yourself, the night's journey carries you toward another layer of connection, a layer that lives not in words, not in the content of communication, but in something far more delicate. The eyes and the smile. If a name touches memory and existence, then a smile touches the primal emotional core of the human being. A real smile, the kind psychology calls the Duchenne smile, creates instant emotional synchrony, as if two heartbeats were quietly merging into a single invisible rhythm. Not all smiles are the same. There are polite smiles, social smiles, smiles used to hide anxiety, but only one kind makes the human heart truly open. The Duchenne smile, the smile that makes the muscles around the eyes contract, forming tiny creases and radiates from an honest place within. When someone smiles with their eyes, you cannot mistake it. Your heart knows before your mind does. In the tender stillness of this night, as your body loosens and your breath flows downward like warm water, imagine the moment someone entered your life with a real smile. Not wide, not exaggerated, just a gentle brightness in their eyes. That alone is enough for the guard around your heart to soften. Neuroscience shows that when you see a Duchenne smile, parts of the brain associated with safety and trust, the amygdala and insula, activate with a signal of no threat. Your body releases tension, your shoulders ease, your heartbeat slows. Humans open when they feel safe, and a genuine smile is one of the strongest signals of safety. You can see this in the simplest moments of life. A baby only smiles genuinely when it feels safe in the arms of someone it trusts. Someone in love often smiles with a natural Duchenne smile when they see the person they care for. A lonely person only shows that smile when their heart is truly touched. Leo Tolstoy once wrote in War and Peace, "If everyone fought for their own convictions, there would be no war." But if he had written about smiles, perhaps he would have said, "If everyone smiled with sincerity, there would be no fear." A true smile is not simply emotion. It is energy moving between two souls. It says, "I do not stand against you. I do not judge you. I am here." In Japanese culture, there is a concept called kokoro, the heart, not just as emotion, but as the purity of presence. A Duchenne smile is kokoro. It comes from a place with no calculation. It comes from openness. When you see someone smile truly, you do not just see their expression, you see their heart. And the strange part is, a real smile cannot be faked. You can lift the corners of your mouth by will, but you cannot make the muscles around your eyes contract unless your heart participates. Which is why the human heart, no matter how wounded, guarded, or disappointed, still recognizes a real smile from afar, the way a flame recognizes the warmth of another flame. In communication, a genuine smile is like opening a door. It creates a safe space for someone to enter, and within that space, they can set down the armor they carry to survive the world. A person becomes attractive not because they are beautiful, but because they are warm. And warmth begins with a smile. You might think of someone in your life whose smile alone makes you want to move closer, not because they are exceptional or extraordinary, but because you feel at ease near them. They do not make you feel you must perform. They do not make you feel you must defend yourself. They do not make you tense. A real smile creates emotional synchrony. When someone smiles sincerely at you, your face automatically responds. Your muscles mirror. Your heart mirrors. Your emotions mirror. And in those few brief seconds, two souls are moving in the same quiet rhythm. That synchrony is the foundation of connection. Psychologist Daniel Goleman once wrote, "We are wired to connect. We are emotional beings before we are thinking beings, and a smile is the first language of connection." But for a true smile to appear, one thing is essential: presence. When you are truly present with someone, not distracted, not pretending, not thinking about yourself, the smile you offer naturally becomes a Duchenne smile. Your eyes warm in a way you cannot control, your voice softens, your posture loosens. You become a safe place for someone else, and when you become a safe place, you become magnetic. Attraction does not live in appearance, it lives in the energy a heart radiates. In the gentle darkness and slowing breath you feel right now, you can sense this clearly. The people who make you feel the most at ease are not perfect people. They are people with real smile. Smiles shaped by their own pain, their own living, their own loving, their own losses. It is precisely because they have known hurt that they know how to smile with empathy. It is because they have fallen that they know how to make others feel safe. It is because they have lived honestly with their emotions that they can smile honestly at others, and that smile heals without words, without touch, without reason. It is a soft reminder that there are still safe places in this world, and that you do not have to be strong all the time. From the genuine smile, we move toward even warmer signals, those that appear in the way you tilt your head while listening, the way your voice shifts to match the energy of the person before you, the way you use empathy to connect rather than intellect to analyze. And as the warmth of part 20 lingers within you like the final glow of a candle just extinguished, as you still feel the tenderness that a genuine smile can bring to the human heart, the safety that needs no words, the connection born from nothing more than a look, the gentle journey of the night leads you into a deeper layer of the art of connection. If a real smile touches the instinct for safety, what you are about to enter touches the deepest layer of empathy. Emotional tone. Mirroring, the mirroring of emotional frequency. Few people realize this, but every conversation carries an emotional current beneath its surface, a rhythm not heard with the ears, but felt with the heart. When you meet someone who is sad, their energy slows, softens, becomes heavier. When you meet someone excited, their energy is fast, bright, high. When you meet someone defensive, their voice tightens. When you meet someone fragile, their breath thins. And human beings, wired for connection, sense these rhythms before they ever name them. The strange thing is this: if you enter a conversation with a tone that mismatches the emotional frequency of the person before you, the connection subtly breaks. If you speak too quickly to someone who is sad, they feel unseen. If you speak too softly to someone who is afraid, they feel unsupported. If you speak seriously to someone craving lightness, their heart feels untouched. But if you adjust yourself to flow with their emotional rhythm, not mimicry, but attunement, their heart opens like a door that needs no key. This is emotional tone. Mirroring, the art of moving in the same tempo as another human being. Just as two separate instruments harmonize when played in the same key, two human beings connect more deeply when they step into the same emotional frequency. Psychologist Carl Rogers wrote on Becoming a Person, "When someone really hears you without passing judgment, without trying to take responsibility for you, without trying to mold you, it feels damn good." And strangely enough, he wasn't talking about technique. He was talking about rhythm. A person who truly hears you is someone who enters your rhythm. Not too fast, not too slow, not carrying their agenda. Simply standing beside you in the exact emotional frequency your heart is transmitting. In the soft darkness of this night, with your breath slowing, remember someone who once made you feel truly heard. Maybe they said little. Maybe they only nodded gently. Maybe they simply stayed beside you without trying to fix the sadness you carried. But their presence, the way they adjusted their tone, pace, eyes to match yours, made you feel inexplicably safe. Connection does not come from words. Connection comes from synchrony. When two energies meet at the same rhythm, the mind relaxes. The heart trusts. The defenses melt like morning mist dissolving under sunlight. At the neurological level, emotional tone. Mirroring activates the mirror neuron system, the ancient circuitry of empathy. These neurons make us unconsciously adjust our expressions, voice, posture to the person before us. It is one of the earliest survival mechanisms, allowing humans to sense danger and safety through one another. When you soften your voice to match someone's vulnerability, they feel held by empathy. When you steady your tone for someone overwhelmed, they feel supported. When you lift your energy to celebrate someone's joy, they feel their joy magnified. And when you settle into stillness beside someone's pain, they feel their pain is no longer alone. This is why emotional tone mirroring is considered one of the most powerful forms of communication, not because it manipulates, but because it gives someone the precious feeling of being understood. And humans only truly trust those who feel they understand them. Yet this art is not only about connection with others, it is also about healing yourself. If you learn to attune your own emotional rhythms, to slow your energy when your mind spirals, to warm your presence when your heart grows cold, to lighten your pace when anxiety presses down, you become your own steady companion. Someone who can regulate their emotional frequency is no longer swept away by life's storms. Someone who mirrors others with empathy becomes a safe harbor. Someone who listens with their whole body, not just their ears, becomes a light in a noisy world. In the slow darkness around you now, you can feel that true connection does not come from impressing others, nor from speaking well, nor from appearing strong. It comes from slowing down enough to feel someone's rhythm. And when you learn this, your relationships soften, deepen, and become more authentic, not because you try harder, but because you show up at the right frequency. And as the night's journey continues, it will lead you even deeper into the art of connection, from vocal pacing to open-ended questions, from active listening to the quiet skill of helping others reveal themselves. For after emotional tone mirroring, we will step into another doorway of deep human connection, the power of the open-ended question. And as the warm echoes of Part 21 continue to drift gently through your mind, while you are still feeling the quiet beauty of emotional mirroring, that place where two inner worlds meet at the same frequency and connection is formed more through silence than through words. The journey of the night slowly leads you into an even deeper landscape. a place where connection is not only created through energy, but through presence in conversation. In this place, there is no debate, no imposition, no rush to be understood. There is only the soft movement between two simple acts, asking open-ended questions and listening deeply. As your body feels lighter, your breath longer, and your mind drifting as if into a warm current, you begin to see that true communication does not live in the answer. It lives in the question. An open-ended question. How did that make you feel? Why does this matter to you? What do you need most right now? Is like a door opening gently into someone's inner world. It doesn't push. It doesn't demand. It doesn't force them to defend themselves. It simply offers space for them to exhale. A person can only be honest when they no longer need to protect themselves, and the need for protection dissolves only when they feel heard. The philosopher Simone Weil once wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." Attention is the most delicate and untainted gift human beings can give each other, and deep listening is its highest expression. When you truly listen to someone, you do not listen with your ears alone. You listen with your whole body, listening to their breath, the slight tremble in their voice, the pauses they leave, the fears they don't name, the longing behind their words. In this soft darkness of the night, you might recall someone who once made you feel seen and understood, not because they had clever answers, but because they listened to you with a presence the world rarely grants. Asking an open-ended question is like placing a small lantern in someone's hands so they can illuminate the hidden corners of their own heart. You don't tell them where to go. You simply give them light. And when you listen deeply, you speak through your silence. You're safe. You may tell the truth. Neuroscience shows that when people feel listened to without judgment, the part of the brain responsible for defensiveness, the amygdala, quiets down. This means they become less tense. They soften. They open the doors they usually keep locked. Deep listening is not about hearing what is said. It is about hearing what is kept inside. In therapy, this is called holding space. Creating a quiet emotional room where someone can lay down their sadness, set aside their fear, or gently unfold the parts of themselves they never felt brave enough to face. A single, open-ended question at the right moment. Why does that worry you? Can guide someone from the surface down into their depths. Your eyes, your soft silence, the way you refrain from interrupting, all of these create a sense of safety. And as they speak, as they open, as their story becomes more honest, you become the witness. And often, being witnessed is already a form of healing. The writer Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote in letters to a young poet, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves." Open-ended questions in conversation do the same. They do not demand answers. They invite truth. The person speaking may not answer immediately. They may pause. They may hesitate. And in that hesitation, their heart is doing something important, descending into a deeper layer of itself. Deep listening means walking beside them on that descent, not directing, not hurrying, not fixing, simply being there, like a small candle in the dark. When you practice this, you will feel the connection between you and another soften into the gentle flow of the night. Slow, deep, full of presence. You will notice how they look at you differently, how they trust you more, how they begin to open parts of themselves they never allow anyone to touch. But deep listening is not only for others. It is also for you. In moments of loneliness, you can ask yourself open-ended questions. What am I truly needing right now? What am I trying so hard not to feel? What part of me has been waiting to speak? And then, in the quiet of the night, you can listen to your own heart without judgment, without urgency, without silencing anything. Listening to yourself is, in truth, the deepest form of self-love. And from that listening, you will begin to feel a new kind of stillness inside, a stillness that does not require you to be strong or to pretend you are fine, but comes from touching your own real needs. From this place of listening, the night's journey will lead you toward another doorway, one that does not open through questions nor through silence, but through the shadows that human beings so often fear to face. Because once your heart has softened and your defenses have quieted, you become light enough to look into one of the most dangerous yet revealing psychological mechanisms of all: gaslighting. And as the faint breath of part 22 continues to drift within you, after you have just walked through the art of open-ended questions and deep listening, after you have felt the quiet warmth of being truly heard by someone who listens with their whole heart, the night gently shifts direction and guides you toward a darker territory, one that is just as essential. A territory where connection bends out of shape, where truth is reshaped, where emotions are dismissed. Because if deep listening can open a heart, gaslighting can suffocate it. If open-ended questions can let a soul blossom, gaslighting can make a soul shrink into itself like a small flame being slowly blown out. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous forms of psychological manipulation, not because it is loud, but because it is silent. Not because it attacks head-on, but because it seeps through the smallest cracks of your inner world. Not because it makes you doubt others, but because it makes you doubt yourself. It begins with tiny things, small sentences that sound harmless. You're being too sensitive. I never said that. That didn't happen. You're remembering wrong. You're exaggerating. Each sentence is a needle. One needle doesn't hurt, but hundreds make you question whether your heart is reacting correctly, whether your memories are distorted, whether your intuition is mistaken, whether you can trust your own perception at all. Gaslighting doesn't destroy you, it makes you destroy yourself. Manipulators don't need to shout, don't need force, don't need obvious control. They plant only one seed: doubt. Doubt in your memory. Doubt in your intuition, doubt in the way you feel. And once you start believing your emotions aren't trustworthy, they no longer need to do anything. You will adjust yourself to them, silence yourself, shrink yourself. In this quiet night, as you listen to each word with a breath slow as a receding wave, let this truth touch you softly. Gaslighting is not the victim's weakness. It is the manipulator's precision. People who are gaslit are not easily fooled. They simply have hearts that know how to trust. And trust, ironically, is where gaslighting takes root the deepest. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on I can't believe you." Gaslighting hurts not only because of the lie, but because it steals from you the ability to believe yourself, the most sacred ability of a healthy inner life. Its mechanism unfolds in 3 stages. First, the denial of emotion. When you're sad, they say you're overreacting. When you're angry, they say you're dramatic. When you're uneasy, they say you're imagining things. Second, the denial of reality. When you recall something they said, they deny it. When you point out their behavior, they say it never happened. When you remember an event, they say your memory is unreliable. And third, the denial of identity. When you are exhausted from defending yourself, they say, "You're always wrong. You're confused. You never know what you want." By then, you no longer trust yourself, and that is the ultimate goal of gaslighting. to make you doubt your own mind. When you doubt your emotions, they control you with theirs. When you doubt your memory, they rewrite the story. When you doubt your value, you become dependent on their approval. When you doubt who you are, they become the center of your reality. This is why gaslighting is so draining. It does not attack your actions, it attacks your soul. But here is a gentle truth you need to remember. No one can take away your real feelings. No one can take away your real memories. No one can take away your real self. They can only make you doubt these things. And doubt can be dissolved by awareness, by listening inward, by stepping out of the loop of invalidation. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Gaslighting is the process that pushes you away from that. But the fact that you are here, reading this, breathing slowly, seeking your way back to inner quiet, means you are already returning to yourself. Each time you trust your intuition even a little, you clear a layer of fog from the mirror. Each time you question the fear inside you, you bring light back into your inner world. Gaslighting can shake you, but it cannot destroy you if you learn to hear your own voice again. And from this depth of the journey, once you begin to feel your inner truth stronger than any outer distortion, you will be ready to step through the next door into a realm even more intricate than gaslighting. Brainwashing, where the mind is not merely shaken, but rewritten. And as the lingering echoes of Part 23 continue drifting softly through your mind, after you have just walked through the darkest layers of gaslighting, where a manipulator not only distorts the world outside you, but makes you doubt the truth inside you, the night opens a door even wider, colder, and more dangerous. If gaslighting destabilizes a person's sense of perception, then brainwashing restructures their entire system of belief. It is a process that doesn't merely make someone question themselves. It makes them abandon themselves until they become whatever the manipulator desires. And as you breathe slowly in this gentle darkness, let your mind open like still water, so we may observe this mechanism not with fear, but with the soft awareness of someone standing on the riverbank, watching the silent current flow through the night. Brainwashing does not happen all at once. It is a sequence of slow, deliberate, systematic steps built upon a deep understanding of how the human psyche collapses and how it can be rebuilt in someone else's image. It always begins with the first step. Isolation. Without isolation, there can be no control. By separating the victim from family, friends, familiar environments, or even from their own inner voice, the manipulator removes the anchors that confirm reality. Isolation makes a person more vulnerable, more dependent, more desperate for direction. Then comes the second step. Psychological weakening. This can happen in countless ways: exhaustion, sleep deprivation, constant tension, contradictory messages, erratic punishment and reward, creating the belief that one is never good enough. As the psyche wears down, willpower softens like wax. And once willpower softens, belief becomes malleable. The third step is the implantation of new beliefs. They don't have to be logical. They only need repetition. When a mind is weakened, it stops resisting. A statement repeated often enough begins to sound like truth. Joseph Goebbels once said, chillingly, "A lie told once remains a lie. A lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth." And in a state of fatigue, confusion, and isolation, people begin to accept what they once would have dismissed with a laugh. The final step of brainwashing is collective reinforcement. A single person can doubt, but an entire group believing the same absurdity can dissolve an individual into the crowd. When the victim looks around and sees everyone accepting a false belief, They begin convincing themselves that they must be the one who is wrong. The group not only reinforces the new belief, but also makes the victim fear leaving it, because leaving it means returning to isolation. And so, an irrational belief becomes a reality. Not because it is true, but because the mind has been reconstructed to accept it. Yet in the quiet depth of this night, with your breath slowing and softening one moment at a time, you may sense a gentler truth. Brainwashing is not limited to cults, dictatorships, or extreme environments. It happens every day. When someone is surrounded for years by voices telling them they are not enough, they begin to believe it. When a child grows up under constant criticism, they begin to believe love must be earned through perfection. When a person lives a lifetime under societal expectations, they begin to believe their value lies solely in the roles others choose for them. Brainwashing is not only a political phenomenon. It exists in the stories we repeat to ourselves, the judgments we internalize, the limits we slowly accept as truth. In this sense, each of us walks through a process of conditioning, some toward darkness, some toward light. And the most beautiful truth is, it can be undone. People can be weakened, but they can also be healed. Beliefs can be implanted, but they can also be removed. Minds can be manipulated, but they can also awaken. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself, which means that even if someone else has rewritten parts of you, you still have the power to rewrite yourself. As you breathe gently in this darkness, allow yourself to feel a quiet certainty. You're not confined to the beliefs others planted in you. You can unthread them one by one. You can listen again to your own voice, because if brainwashing has 4 steps that take your freedom away, healing has 4 steps that return it. Reconnecting with those who make you feel safe, reinforcing with truths that are gentle, nurturing with a voice of compassion, and rebuilding with a sense of identity no longer rooted in fear. And once you walk through this understanding, once you feel yourself growing clearer, quieter, stronger, the night will guide you to another doorway of human psychology, a place where affection is used as a weapon, where light and shadow intertwine, where people become enchanted by warmth given just enough and withdrawn at exactly the right moment. A technique more powerful than brainwashing, yet also the one that reveals the deepest emotional needs of the human heart. And as the quiet reflections of part 24 continue to wrap around you like a thin mist in the night, after you've just seen how brainwashing can rebuild an entire belief system through isolation, erosion, and collective reinforcement, the journey of the night shifts again, very gently, yet very deeply. If brainwashing is the mechanism of collective control, then love bombing is the mechanism of psychological seduction, where love, the most beautiful human force, is bent and twisted into a tool of manipulation. A tool so sweet, so intoxicating, that one does not realize they are being bound until it is already too late. Love bombing is when someone floods you with affection, overwhelming attention, constant messages, endless compliments, grand promises, and a 24/7 presence. It feels like stepping into a rain of petals, soft and beautiful enough to make you believe you've just entered paradise. They read your mind, understand you, caress your insecurities, lift you up as if you were the most precious thing they've ever encountered. They make you feel seen, loved, chosen. But that paradise always has a hidden door. And once it opens, you realize the love you thought was for you was only for the version of you they needed to control. Love. Bombing is not love. It is strategy. The manipulator gives too much, then abruptly takes it all away. from overwhelming sweetness to freezing silence, from constant attention to long stretches of absence, from warm eyes to empty space. And it is this withdrawal, not the initial flood, that creates the addictive loop. When you are loved intensely and then abandoned without warning, your brain releases dopamine through the variable reward pattern, the exact mechanism behind gambling. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered that inconsistent rewards create the strongest addictions. When you don't know when warmth will return, you crave it. You wait for it. You try to earn it back. And so you become tied to the very person who hurts you. But the saddest part is not the manipulation itself. The saddest part is when you begin to believe that the overwhelming love at the beginning was real, and that the coldness afterward is somehow your fault. So you try harder. You try to be better. You try to become worthy of the love you thought you had. Love bombing turns you into someone who is forever trying to win back what you never truly lost, because it was never real. Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote in The Brothers Karamazov, "Much unhappiness has come into the world because of bewilderment and things left unsaid, and love bombing creates that very bewilderment. The sweet confusion that makes a person lose their inner compass, unsure of what is real, what is strategy, what is love, and what is possession. In the gentle darkness of this night, as your breath grows slow and deep and each word begins to drift into your subconscious, try to see this softly. Love bombing always begins with the emptiness inside the one being targeted, not because they are weak, but because their heart is tired, hungry for tenderness, aching for a sense of being seen. Manipulators seek out those hearts, not to heal them, but to claim them. And the mechanism is exquisitely precise. First, lift you impossibly high, so you feel special, chosen, irreplaceable. Then withdraw abruptly, so you feel anxious, hollow, unworthy. Then return just a little, so you feel hope and believe things are finally okay. Then withdraw again, so you become even more dependent. This is the addictive cycle. In that cycle, you are not addicted to them. You are addicted to the feeling of being loved by them, delivered in inconsistent, distorted bursts, tender then cruel, comforting then devastating, keeping you unable to leave. But beneath all of this, there is a truth you must drop gently into your heart now, like a pebble falling into a quiet lake. Someone who truly loves you will never make you addicted to them. Someone who truly loves you will make you peaceful. Real love does not arrive as an emotional storm. It arrives as a steady river. Real love does not require sky-burning promises. It requires consistent presence. Here, in this stillness where every muscle is loosening and every breath seems to fall into the soft rhythm of night, you begin to understand something you may have only touched a few times in your life. Love is not supposed to hurt. Love does not demand you chase it. Love does not keep you awake in fear. True love is always gentle, always warm, always steady, and it never withdraws just to watch how much you suffer. If someone makes you guess, chase, shrink, worry, lose weight, or work endlessly to be loved, that is not love. That is strategy. And the most painful truth is that this cycle exists not only in romance, it exists in cults, in toxic workplaces, in dysfunctional families, in communities that offer family only to take your identity away. All of them begin with love bombing, praise, attention, belonging. And then they withdraw, and you run after them. But in the deepest part of you, in this quiet moment, you can touch a softer truth. You do not need to chase what hurts you. You deserve a love that does not need to be earned. You deserve arms that do not disappear. You deserve presence, not uncertainty. And when your mind understands this, the cycle of emotional addiction begins to lose its power. You no longer ache for the return of someone who left only to control you. You begin to ache for peace, the one thing love bombing can never give. And from here, the night will guide you to another layer of human psychology, where guilt and shame become invisible chains. If love bombing binds you with sweetness, then guilt-tripping and shame control bind you with the fear of disappointing those who claim to care. And as the soft aftershocks of Part 25 linger within you, after you've just walked through the deep layers of love bombing and the emotional addiction it creates, where tenderness becomes a velvet-covered blade, the philosophical journey of the night guides you into an even darker terrain. A place that does not bind you with warmth, but with the fear of disappointing someone you care about. If love bombing makes you chase because you crave being loved again, then guilt-tripping and shame control make you stay because you fear being seen as the bad one. This is one of the most insidious forms of manipulation because it does not take away your joy. It takes away your dignity. It makes you question not only your emotions but your moral worth. Guilt-tripping always starts softly. A careless comment. If you really cared, you would have done it differently. A sigh. I guess I'm just not important to you. A long silence. I suppose you're busy with something that matters more than me. Shame control strikes harder. You're always selfish. You never try. You embarrass me. No one would tolerate you the way I do. Hear these enough times, and your mind begins to spiral. What did I do wrong? Am I the reason everything falls apart? Am I a burden? I need to be better. And the most painful part, you start believing your behavior is your free choice. That is the subtle genius of shame control, turning submission into the victim's own decision. In this soft darkness, as your breath sinks into deeper layers, place a gentle hand over your chest and feel. How many choices in your life were made out of love, and how many were made out of fear of disappointing someone? Søren Kierkegaard once wrote in Either or. The most common form of despair is not being who you are, and guilt-tripping is precisely the path that leads a person into that despair. The despair of abandoning oneself to become someone else's expectation. The psychological mechanism behind guilt-tripping is simple, but devastatingly effective. The manipulator plants guilt through words, glances, or silence. The victim tries to fix things, to regain approval. The manipulator reinforces the guilt by reminding them of failures, past hurts, or phantom debts. The victim internalizes the blame, believing they must change, not because of logic, but because they feel fundamentally not good enough. In the end, you apologize for things that aren't your fault. You rush to explain yourself just to keep the peace. You carry the emotional weight of another person, and worst of all, you begin to believe your worth depends on not upsetting anyone. But the truth is this. You are not responsible for other people's emotions. You are not obliged to heal the wounds they refuse to face. You are not required to shrink so someone else can feel bigger. In the stillness of this night, as each word flows into you like warm water, you may see this more gently. Those who use guilt and shame to control others do so not because they are strong, but because they are afraid. Afraid of being abandoned. Afraid of not being enough, afraid of losing power, afraid of confronting their own unhealed places. So they use emotional control as armor that wounds everyone they try to keep. Psychologist Brené Brown, who has dedicated her life to studying shame, once wrote in Daring Greatly, "Shame corrodes the very part of us that believes we are capable of change. Shame does not make people grow. It suffocates the possibility of growth." Manipulators know this. They do not want you strong. They want you scared to lose them. If love bombing chains you with pleasure, shame control chains you with fear, a deeply human fear, the fear of not being enough. But you do not have to run from this fear. In this silk soft night, as you lie here and let your heart open gently like a slow, blooming flower, you begin to sense a kinder truth. Your worth does not come from pleasing someone. Your worth does not come from never making mistakes. Your worth does not come from endless sacrifice. Your worth comes from you, from your softness, your kindness, your capacity to love and be loved as a whole human being, not as someone who must always be right. And once you understand this, shame control loses its power. The words, "You're selfish," "You disappoint me," "No one else would love you," stop piercing you. You see them as sparks that burn the fingers of the one who throws them, not the heart they were aimed at. In this voice that moves slow as dew, you feel something deeply human. We are so easily controlled by guilt because we long to be loved, but you never have to trade your inner freedom for love. Because real love, breathable love, love without guilt or shame, never requires you to disappear. And from this gentle realization, the night prepares to guide you into the next realm, a realm that explores the shadow of collective perception and why human beings are willing to believe the impossible when everyone around them believes it. A story that began more than 2,000 years ago inside a dark cave. And as the soft echoes of part 26 continue flowing gently through your mind like a warm current, after you've just passed through the dark landscapes of guilt-tripping and shame control, where people are bound by fear and the quiet erosion of self-worth, the night's journey carries you into a more abstract, ancient, and profound realm. A realm not merely about manipulation in relationships, but about the greatest manipulation humanity has ever faced, the manipulation of perception itself. If shame control makes a person see themselves incorrectly, then Plato's allegory of the cave reveals how human beings see the entire world incorrectly. Astonishingly, this story was written more than 2,000 years ago, yet it still speaks to the truth of our age, a time where shadow and light blur, where illusions pass for reality, where people defend things that have never truly existed. In the soft darkness of the night, as you gently close your eyes and open the inner space of imagination, let me guide you into that cave. Imagine a group of people chained from birth to death inside a dark cavern, facing a stone wall. They cannot turn their heads, cannot look around, cannot know what happens behind them. All they ever see are the shadows on the wall, shadows of objects carried by others behind them, illuminated by the firelight to create illusions. And then something strange happens. These people begin to believe the shadows are the world, for they have never seen anything else. They do not know the true colors of the objects. They do not know the sky. They do not know the sun. For them, the black silhouettes are the only truth. Plato writes in the Republic, "To them, the truth would be literally nothing but the shadows of the images." And then, one day, one man is freed from his chains. At first, he cannot bear the light. His eyes burn, panic rises in him. But as his vision adjusts, he begins to see the real objects behind him, the ones used to create the shadows. He realizes that everything he believed was only an illusion. When he steps out of the cave, he sees the sun. For the first time in his life, he sees the world in light, and he understands the true world looks nothing like the shadows on the wall. But the most frightening moment comes when he returns to free the others, to tell them that their world is an illusion, that the wall is not the truth, and they do not believe him. They ridicule him, fear him, even wish to destroy him. Because human beings are terrified of truth, They fear the light not because it harms them, but because it forces them to confront their own blindness. In the steady rhythm of your breath, you may sense something delicate. Every one of us lives in our own cave. Some live in the cave of family expectations. Some live in the cave of societal success. Some live in the cave of fear, fear of losing love, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. Some live in the cave of old beliefs they have never questioned. And some, perhaps you, once lived in the cave of judgment, shame, and guilt planted by others. These shadows are not real things, but when they are projected on your inner wall long enough, consistently enough, the mind begins to believe they are all that exists. Plato did not simply tell a philosophical fable. He mapped the human psyche. And if you listen closely, you will sense the deeper message of the story. Truth often hurts before it heals. Light often blinds before it illuminates. When you step out of any illusion, whether the illusion of toxic love, the illusion of external expectations, or the illusion of narratives imposed on you, your eyes will sting. You will feel discomfort. You will want to return to the familiar darkness. It is a deeply human reaction. The familiar darkness often feels safer than the unfamiliar light, but only in the light can you truly see yourself. Let your mind drift slower. Feel a small quietness settling over you. Imagine this. If the cave wall is everything you once believed about yourself, then the sunlight is the truth about who you are, truth you forgot or perhaps never knew. The allegory of the cave is not merely about perception, it is about liberation. Liberation from manipulation, liberation from false identities, liberation from the stories we tell ourselves just to survive, liberation from the shadows cast upon us by others. And in this moment, as you lie voluntarily in the dark, with a mind widening softly with every word, you may understand that philosophy is not theory, it is a journey home. You step out of the cave every time you ask, am I truly who I think I am? Do I believe this because it is true or because I have never seen anything else? Am I living in light or in shadows? Haruki Murakami once wrote, "And once the storm is over, you won't remember how you made it through. You won't even be sure whether it's really over. But one thing is certain. When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in." Stepping out of the cave is like stepping out of a storm. You are no longer the same. You are deeper, brighter, freer. And from this understanding, the night's philosophical journey opens yet another door, a door leading to the spirit of Socratic questioning, to the man who dared challenge every shadow with one simple yet piercing question. Is that really true? A question powerful enough to change an entire life. And as the lingering resonance of part 27 continues to stir softly within your mind, as the image of Plato's cave still glows like a living metaphor of human life, where people are bound by the illusions of their own perception, where every shadow becomes truth simply because no one has dared to turn around, the night's journey now carries you to a very different terrain. A terrain not filled with darkness like the cave, nor overflowing with light like the sun, but resting gently between the two. The realm of questions. If Plato leads you out of illusion through the brightness of knowledge, then Socrates leads you out of your own self through the quiet power of doubt. A kind of doubt that does not unsettle, does not destroy, but opens, like a thin breeze brushing through a curtain, revealing a sliver of light you never noticed before. Socrates did not teach people to accumulate knowledge. He taught them to dismantle false knowledge. He did not teach answers. He taught the art of questioning. For him, wisdom begins not with certainty, but with humility. In Apology, Plato records Socrates saying, "The unexamined life is not worth living. A life unexamined, unquestioned, unreflected upon is not a life fully lived." In the soft darkness of this night, as you lie here listening to your own breath, you may feel the gentle weight of that sentence. For without questioning, human beings continue living in shadows, the shadows of inherited beliefs, the shadows of societal pressure, the shadows of fear, the shadows of what others say without ever asking whether any of it is true. Socrates believed truth was never on the surface. It hid beneath the easy, automatic answers. He questioned people not to defeat them, but to help them hear their own words from a deeper place. And strangely, when a person begins to examine their own statements, many things crumble. But that collapse is necessary, like tearing down an unstable house to build one that can truly last. In the modern world, where information rushes from every direction and confidence often outweighs understanding, Socratic doubt becomes even more precious. It reminds us, not everything we know is true, not everything we believe is real, not everything we feel reflects the essence of things. Socrates always began with a humble declaration, "I know that I know nothing." A simple phrase, yet it became the foundation of philosophy. Within it lie three layers of humility: humility before truth, humility before knowledge, and humility before one's own ego. A person can only learn when they accept that they do not yet know. A person can only change when they accept that they may be mistaken. A person can only grow when they acknowledge that their understanding is a single drop in an immeasurable ocean. In your long, slow breath right now, let your mind open like a still lake, and you will see that Socratic questions are not meant to push you into chaos. They are meant to free you from rigid answers that imprison your inner life. One who never questions lives by instinct and tradition. One who questions begins to live by truth. And the most beautiful part is this: Socratic doubt is not doubting others, it is doubting yourself, but gently, like a kind friend asking, "Are you sure this is true? Are you sure the thing you fear is real? Are you sure the story you tell about yourself is accurate?" This is doubt as healing. Doubt that loosens the chains of Plato's cave. Doubt that prevents you from being led blindly by others. Doubt that lets you look directly at your fear and ask, "Why am I afraid of this?" There is something fascinating about it. Every great thinker began their journey with a question. Descartes began with, "What can I know for certain?" Nietzsche began with, "Why do we believe what we believe?" Jung began with, "What lies in the unconscious?" Yet all of these stood on the shoulders of Socrates, the first to teach humanity the sacred value of doubt. Doubt does not destroy life. It rebuilds it. If you look deep within yourself right now, you may realize that the moments that changed you were not the ones filled with answers, but those ignited by a question that refused to leave you. Is the life I'm living truly mine? Am I chasing shadows or walking toward light? Could I be mistaken? In this gentle darkness that feels like breath, such questions no longer frighten you. They soften, becoming small gateways toward freedom. Intellectual humility, the ability to see one's own limits without shame, becomes the quiet foundation beneath your steps. Socrates never felt humiliated when saying, "I do not know." He understood that not knowing is the beginning of will know, and will know is the beginning of living truly. In this philosophical night journey, Socratic doubt does not wake you. It lulls you deeper into a restful ease with one soft truth. You do not need all the answers to live a meaningful life. You only need the courage to ask better questions. And now, in this hazy state between waking and dreaming, where your mind drifts toward its tenderest depth, You may feel that Socrates never wanted us to become wise. He wanted us to become real. And once you understand the spirit of doubt, once you dare to face the imperfections in your own beliefs, you will find the world softening, because you are no longer confined to rigid, inherited conclusions. From here, the night's journey opens into another realm, a place where logic twists back on itself, where belief and assertion fall out of alignment, where the mind is challenged by the paradoxes of language. A realm philosophy calls More's paradox. And as the lingering resonance of part 28 continues to fall gently through your mind, like tiny specks of light drifting in the stillness of night, while the spirit of Socratic doubt still hums softly within you, widening your awareness and inviting you into a deeper intellectual humility, the philosophical journey carries you one step further into the strange landscapes of thought. A landscape where language and belief no longer walk hand in hand, where a person may utter a sentence that is perfectly logical, yet psychologically impossible. This is More's paradox, one of the most puzzling ideas that made the entire field of philosophy of language wrestle with its mystery for decades. G.E. Moore introduced it in the early 20th century with his famous example. "It is raining, but I don't believe that it is raining." The sentence is logically flawless. It can be raining, and I, as an individual, may not believe that it is raining. The two clauses do not contradict each other in logic, but psychology rebels instantly. It is impossible to witness rain and simultaneously not believe that it is raining. The human mind, designed to merge information into a unified map of reality, cannot sustain two opposing states at once. And from here, More's paradox becomes a curious doorway into the deepest nature of belief. Belief is not what we say, it is what we live. Socrates teaches us to question what we think we know. More teaches us to question what we say and ask whether we truly believe it. In the gentle velvet darkness of this night, as your breath moves slowly and evenly, feel this profoundly human truth. People often say things they do not believe, not because they want to deceive others, but because they are trying to deceive themselves. You may have heard someone say, "I'm fine," when they do not believe they are fine. "I don't need anyone," when they deeply long to belong. None of this affects me when their heart has already curled inward from hurt. And you yourself, in some of your most difficult moments, may have said, "I don't care anymore. I'm strong. I'm not sad." These sentences operate exactly like More's paradox. Grammatically correct, structurally coherent, yet false to the inner truth. We create these paradoxes not out of dishonesty, but because the human soul cannot always bear the rawness of emotion. Language becomes a soft curtain we draw across feelings we are not yet ready to face. And the strange, beautiful thing is this: More's paradox is not only a philosophical phenomenon, it is a psychological one, and a deeply healing one. It reveals the distance between words and belief, between reason and instinct, between what we think we should feel and what we truly feel. A distance which, if seen, acknowledged, and gently held, becomes the beginning of inner freedom. Let your mind drift more slowly now. Let the silence between the sentences become a quiet mirror for your own truth. In life, we often slip into other versions of More's paradox. I am loved, but I don't believe that I am loved. I am safe, but my body does not feel safe. I know things will be okay, but my heart is unsettled. This is not failure. This is humanity. The brain and the heart do not always walk together. Perception and emotion do not always align. Saying a thing and not believing it is not a sign of dysfunction, it is an invitation to look deeper. More's paradox teaches us, Truth is not in the words, but in the pause beneath them. When you say "I'm fine," but your voice softens, the truth lies in the softness. When you say it's nothing, but your chest tightens, the truth lies in the tension. When you say, "I don't believe this," but something inside you trembles ever so slightly, the truth lies in the trembling. And if Socratic doubt invites you to question what you know, More's paradox invites you to question what you claim. Ludwig Wittgenstein was so captivated by this paradox that he wrote in Philosophical Investigations, "More's paradox is a peculiar conjunction, which, though not logically contradictory, seems absurd. It seems absurd precisely because it exposes a psychological depth that philosophy rarely touches. Human beings can know something with the mind, while being unable to feel it with the heart. You know you deserve love, yet you do not believe it. You know you have worth, yet you cannot feel it. You know you have done your best, yet you still feel insufficient." More's paradox is the distance between knowing and believing. And as you rest in this quiet darkness, letting each sentence seep slowly into your inner world, you may sense that healing is not about forcing these two realms to match instantly. It is about gently bringing them closer, bringing knowing closer to believing, bringing language closer to experience, bringing reason closer to the heart. And each night in this quiet space, you're already doing exactly that. More's paradox does not only astonish philosophers, it stills the human soul. It invites you to ask, is there something I'm saying that doesn't match what I truly believe? Is there something I believe about myself that I have not yet said aloud? Is there a shadow in my life I've been avoiding by hiding behind words? These questions do not unsettle you. They make you real. And once you have walked through the realm of intellectual doubt and linguistic paradox, the night's journey brings you toward its final movement, a place where philosophy and psychology meet, where the entire path loops softly back to the heart of who you are. A point of connection that is not merely logical, not merely emotional, but profoundly, unmistakably human. And as the final echoes of Part 29 continue to ripple softly through your mind, while More's paradox has just revealed the fragile yet profound distance between what we say and what we truly believe, and while you have touched the dual nature of human perception, the gentle philosophical journey of the night now leads you toward its final resting point. A resting point that is not loud or dramatic, but quietly contemplative. The paradox of the court, the ancient legal riddle where reason, the very tool meant to uphold justice, turns against itself and collapses into contradiction. If More's paradox shook your trust in language, then the paradox of the court shakes your trust in logic, and in that shaking, you do not witness the fall of thinking, but its beautiful limitation. A limit that humbles you, softens you, and brings you closer to truth. So let your mind drift slower now, like a small stream slipping down a dark hillside, and listen to this ancient story weaving itself into the calm of the night. The paradox begins with Protagoras, the famed philosopher, and Euathlus, a young student unable to pay his tuition, and the agreement they formed that Euathlus would pay only after he won his first court case. But time passed, and Euathlus finished his training yet refused both to go to court and to pay the fee. And Protagoras, irritated, sued his own student. This is where the paradox blooms, for Protagoras argued that if he wins, the court orders Euathlus to pay, and if Euathlus wins, then that victory counts as his first win, meaning he must pay by contract. So in every outcome, Protagoras wins. But Euathlus countered with an argument just as sharp, saying that if he wins, the court declares he owes nothing, and if he loses, then he still has not won a case. So according to the contract, he still owes nothing. Therefore, in every outcome, Euathlus wins. Two arguments, flawless in form, airtight in logic, yet leading to opposite conclusions, and in that collision, the paradox of the court emerges like a hairline crack in a wall we believed unbreakable. Philosophers were unsettled, not because they could not choose a winner, but because they sensed a deeper truth. Logic, no matter how sharp, has its limits. And in the stillness of tonight, as your breath moves like a soft tide within your chest, you can feel that truth. Humans often believe logic is the mind's strongest tool, that sufficiently sharp reasoning will carve out truth. Yet this paradox shows a gentler wisdom. Some questions cannot be solved because the premises themselves pull in opposite directions. And this is not only in philosophy or law, but in your own life, in those moments when every choice leads you back to the same emotional crossroads, when a decision hurts, whether you choose it or refuse it, when a relationship aches, whether you stay or leave, when a dream terrifies you if you chase it, but leaves you hollow if you abandon it, when a fear freezes you if you move, but also wounds you if you remain. These are the paradox of the court moments of human existence, those strange loops where every option carries its own shadow of doubt. Alan Watts once wrote that to understand life, you must see contradictions as part of it, and contradiction is not a flaw, but a natural contour of reality. And as you sink deeper into this quiet night, you may sense that the paradox of the court is not here to confuse you, but to offer you a quiet gift. The acceptance that not every question must have a clear answer, and that this is perfectly all right. In a world that demands certainty about the future, about the self, about right and wrong, it is liberating to see that life is larger than any logical structure, that certain knots cannot be untied by thought, but only by living, by allowing time to unfold, by breathing through the unresolved places within you. So the paradox of the court becomes a soft reminder that you do not always have to win arguments with yourself, that you do not have to compress the world into one definitive formula, that peace does not come from resolving every contradiction, but from accepting that contradiction is a companion of existence. Let your face soften, let your mind drift like mist, and feel how the journey from part 1 to part 30, from self, consciousness, and time to manipulation, perception, doubt, and paradox, has been guiding you back to this truth, that clarity is not always necessary, that humans are not always logical, that life does not always need explanation, and that sometimes all you need is space to breathe and feel and listen to the soft voice inside you. And in this twilight space between waking and sleep, you may realize that the deepest insights do not come from trying to understand, but from allowing yourself not to understand. As Nietzsche wrote that one must have chaos within to give birth to a dancing star, the contradictions inside you, the uncertainty, the doubt, the unanswered questions are not obstacles, but seeds of creation. And the paradox of the court, the final paradox of the journey, is the last hush before the night closes, a reminder that you can loosen your grip, let go, allow life to be confusing or unfinished or contradictory, and still feel peace, for peace does not come from solving every paradox, but from accepting that paradox is part of being alive. And now, with the journey complete, with your mind softened by the slow rhythm of the night, you may let your eyes close like petals folding inward, and allow the final thoughts to drift away like a quiet breath. For the journey has reached its close, and you have returned to yourself.